Michigan premium craft frozen pizza, a Palermo's family of brands. Welcome to 9 to Noon.
Welcome in 9 to noon on a football Friday, and it happened last night in a massive, massive way in the college game, and it's happening tonight at Camp Randall Stadium as Luke Fickell's Badgers are back on the field, taking on those Broncos from Western Michigan. You're going to hear it right here on the game. We're going to take you up to the game with all of our coverage here on the game, and it's going to be a great day because it's game day. And John, hold on. And our two-time Super Bowl champion, John Coon, is here with us. I almost dropped the ball on the introduction because Harmon Sarian is buying in. He is in for the cause now.
You know me, I'm buying in. I'm all the way in.
So I have to make sure that it is appointment listening. It always is from 9 to noon, and we're glad that you're making an appointment once again to be with us here today. John, goodness gracious. I said in a big, big way, that football last night was exactly what we needed 1 week away. A beautiful appetizer. Get some buffalo chicken dip out here before the main course comes and the NFL season starts 1 week from today. Green Bay Packers football in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But what an appetizer that was last night with some college slate. 24 games last night.
I don't know what Colorado is going to be this year, but they're going to be must-watch television. I do know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it fizzles out, if it goes soaring. Deion Sanders after the game with the pregnant pauses and the drama of, did you ever win but felt like you lost? Yeah, I mean, this is
and with
deal.
that beard, it just is funnier to hear him talk.
That's
And
true.
Silver Fox is out. I
does
mean, he's
awesome.
killing it with the Silver Fox, but I can't get enough of it. I am infatuated with it, and I have no skin in the game. Like I don't necessarily need Colorado to be great. I don't necessarily need Colorado to burn in flames, but good Lord, is it not? And I feel like what we saw last night is what we're going to see in a lot of games this year. Down to the wire. I don't think their defense is going to be worth anything this year. I think they're going to be dog shine just like they were last year. I think the offense is going to continue to roll through a couple of playmakers that are going to be neutralized when they play good teams, when they actually play like big time FBS teams. They will be neutralized somewhat. And I think it's going to be a rocky road. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. And it most likely means that they're going to finish the season 6-6, Billy.
Yeah, and you know what? 6-6. There's people in this business that say that it's like the best record to finish. Because then you have good things and bad things to always talk about, but you're always a part of the conversation. Fascinating. Like, they got blown out last year in a couple of games. Like Washington State, they didn't even show up. Obviously, remember the hey, we're playing for wins, not clicks. The Oregon game when Dan Lanning's Ducks beat the moonshine off of them. But they played a bunch of one-score games, and then last night they're in a one-score game against North Dakota State, and NDSU came to play, dude. Congratulations to those kids for showing up to the moment that they had playing on national television in the opener. They did it. I mean, they played full 60 minutes, and it was beautiful to watch them test. Because you're right, John. They have some playmakers. Like Travis Hunter's one of the best players that I've watched. I mean, that is. I tweeted out last night. I don't know what he is. Meaning, I don't know what position. I don't know if he's, who we're sending to fight the aliens if they ever come here. But that dude is a freak, and I'm signing up to watch him play football.
Yeah,
He's a football player.
I think Colorado has a couple first-round picks on their team, 2 for sure.
High first-round picks, yeah.
2 for sure in the quarterback and Travis Hunter. And then when you start talking about some of the underclassmen that are there that you don't know are going to come out or when they come out, I think they do have a couple guys, maybe 3 or 4 on that team that will be first-round picks when they get drafted. Now, when a team like Georgia or Alabama has 5 or 6 first-round guys on their team and they play North Dakota State, what does that score?
Sure.
That scores 60-6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And North Dakota State is not one of those teams that like an Alcorn State or something like that that catches you by surprise anymore. I anticipated it.
We were talking about you picked it.
It'd be a good game.
We were talking about them being the team you don't want to schedule for 2 or 3 weeks.
Because this is a team that is going to be gritty. It's going to be nasty. It's going to fight to the whistle. I mean, and that's what they did. They played exactly to their identity. And I think Colorado played exactly to their identity as well, which is why you saw some craziness, throwing the ball when you can easily run the clock out.
Oh my God. I'm got my hands up.
That's
like,
their
Deion,
listen,
what are we doing?
That was weird, man.
Deion said what did Deion say? Or Billy, you got the quote. What did he say?
He said it was Shadur's call. He's a sweet boy. The sweet boy. He was wanting to let his wide receiver make a play. Wanted to let his wide receiver make a play. So Shadur audibled out of it and then admitted to it after the game.
Yeah. I just wanted my friend to make a play.
make a play.
And I
That's
think
so
I'm
nice.
sure I'm sharing is caring. No, this is their identity. They are
You need to win.
undisciplined. They are not coached very well, but they're talented,
Yeah.
and that's what they are. So you have a not coached very well, undisciplined, very talented team versus a team that's coached extremely well, very disciplined and talent, but not the same talent as the other side. This is what you get. You get your classic David Goliath that can just go down to the wire. And it was an entertaining game. And I think Colorado is going to be in a lot of these this year.
And I don't think when we say talent, I think they have some skill position players, obviously, with great talent. We talk about Hunter and Shadur, but is that offensive line talented? I mean, up and down the roster, how much talent
it's
is there?
new, that's for sure. It's new.
they
They brought in pretty much 5 straight transfers to start on that offensive line because they were so horrendous last year.
They
Shadur
were-
got sacked like 60 times a year ago.
I'm not sure they're much better, at least
No.
what I saw last night. Now, that being said, yeah, I mean, North Dakota State, I'm careful about this because I don't want to, disrespect North Dakota State. They're a good team, obviously, but I guess Colorado is what they are. And they're motivated by, to me, they're motivated by ego and what people say about them because I think they try. People are like Shadur is throwing it and stuff. I think they wanted to win by more because they want to feel better about themselves and not just say,
so you're saying they ran the cover play?
I think they just
They were trying to end the Coons can't miss.
We barely. I think
and
that's
trying to
part of
really
it.
make it a brutal night in the Schmidt household.
Not
Okay.
that they're
awesome.
They heard us. Armin's saying
Yeah,
they heard us. They're
interesting.
listening. We're on
Interesting.
their watch list is what Armin's saying.
Not that they're complicit in that regard in terms of like the betting. I don't mean that. I just mean I think they're like this whole night sucks because I want to blow them out. So we gotta try and make this.
Yeah, they're
score
not
look
blowing
better.
anybody out.
No, and that's just not. That's what they are. So I mean, I don't know. Colorado does one thing though for me as a viewer, and you said it, John. They make me want to watch them, good or bad, win or lose, and I'll give them credit for that. I never was that entertained by Colorado ever before. I really wasn't until now. It's like, okay, I want to be entertained by them to see what's going to happen. Right.
Well, and Deion is one of the most, if not the most polarizing individuals right now in sports, right? Like you have a take on Deion Sanders. I, for one, respect the hell out of him wanting to be a part of his kids' lives and coaching the team, right? Now, is he doing it the right way? Is he doing it the best way? Doing it his way, right? So he can define it that way. But I'm signing up to watch all these games. They got like 5 games against ranked teams. Kansas is going to be really good. Utah football is a factory, so you're going to want to watch that game. And again, next week they play Nebraska, who last year that was a great game between them. And Nebraska is much better because Matt Rule and then paid like $3 million, John, for their quarterback who looks like Mahomes. So I'm very excited to watch. I'm going to sign up to witness all of the games. Somebody that is invested at over 5.5 for the Colorado football team.
There we go.
Yeah, last night let me know that I am wearing a pretty thick sweater when watching Colorado football for the rest of the year
Real
because
quick.
it's going to be a tough run to 6 wins.
Real quick, what was the over-under at the beginning of the season last year for him? Was it 3.5?
3.5.
I thought it was 3.5.
I think it was 3.5.
Yep. And they won
got-
the
and they got
4.
Remember they covered
And this
it
year it's
early.
5.5, and I think they're going to win 6. I think
There we go.
you're so safe on the
Yes.
cover. You're so safe. You're good.
Be all
good.
good. Let's
This
get a
thing
couple
smashed.
early ones.
It's hard.
They're
to
going to
say.
be 6-0, and then they're going to go 6-6.
Well, they started off like what they had. Were they 3-0?
3-0 a year ago.
And then
yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, this team's different." Like maybe they are that team, and they beat TCU, and people were more excited. It's interesting how it could go because after the TCU win last year, everyone's like, "Oh, this team might be for real," and then they just turned out to be, they fizzle out. Not
Fraudulent.
and
Well, I
fraudulent.
mean, they beat
And-
TCU, and TCU was coming off of going to the national
Right, bro,
championship
no, I'm not.
game.
Yeah, I'm not. And people didn't know what to expect from Colorado. Who had
Right.
just won one game, and there were people ready to cheer for them, or ready to hate them, and ready to see them do something. Now they eke out. I'll say they struggled to a win against a pretty good program that's not at their level, but still a solid program. And then the expectations are going to be down more. So maybe they'll surprise people in the other regard this year and actually get better as the year goes on.
Well, and that would be awesome.
Instead of getting worse.
Last year, their attention peaked in the Colorado State week, right? That was when the opposing coach was going back and forth with Dion. There was the kid that got laid out, and then the Colorado State kid was getting hate mail and death threats because of the violent nature. It was a back and forth double overtime game. John, that was week 3 of the NFL, and they were the biggest story in sports.
Yeah.
Are they going to reach that again? Like, do you think that's where this could go?
No, I don't think so. I think for that to happen, it would need to be a special season for them, a college football playoff type appearance season. And I don't think they're gonna make it there. I think even last year, you mentioned that first month, September. Colorado owned September last year.
Owned it.
They owned
yes.
it. But by the middle to end of October, they weren't really there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they think that they're gonna, it's never gonna be what it was in September last year when they were 3-0, unless they're 3-0 again and 4-0 and then 5-0. Like this whole thing for them now, it's now going to be results based. It's no longer going to be Dion, the great the great
blenders and all that.
The marketer. It's not going to be
pair.
that anymore.
Yeah,
well, I got 3.
There's good sunglasses. But
they are good. So they are worth it because
they're
now,
solid. They're great for people with big heads, and I got a big old head. So
that's me too.
Put
Huge
that thing
noggin.
on there. You know, a lot of glasses you throw on this thing. The little curves there that come back, they don't even reach the ears. You get, if it doesn't curve around the ear, it doesn't fit. If it's just poking you in the top of the ear, it's
not working. Fit. Well, and John, you saw those swimming goggles that I accidentally bought online. Like I had a pair that were way too small for my head. Listen, sunglasses are not an easy thing to purchase. Oh, John. Well, listen, I was trying to find a good pair because while we were sun soaked at Ray Nitschke Field, had to be able to see not only computer, which was hardly working.
I thought you meant real goggles
into the game.
I didn't know what you were talking about. Well, I wasn't up there on the perch with you guys. I mean, I was talking to you, but I thought you meant real goggles. I'm like, you wear goggles in the pool? That's all right. You don't want to get your eyes irritated. I get it. You know, you're doing the backstroke and the breaststroke out there, you know, so I thought you meant real goggles.
I'm a little more elementary backstroke, a little tickle T touch. That's kind of that's more what I got. That's the only kind of stroke that I got. Most importantly, that's the survival stroke.
Get me the kickboard.
Stay as long as possible as to where you can go. They also don't have to play 2 top 10 teams like they did a year ago in Oregon and USC when you're talking about Colorado. So it's going to help. It's going to be a little bit easier. They had to play Caleb Williams at the height of their power last year to a 1-score game. I'm fascinated because, again, Travis Hunter last night, 3 touchdowns receiving, played 58 snaps on defense, almost ended up with the game sealing interception that was then a caught Hail Mary 4 yards short of the end zone, showing the heart palpitations that they had there. But man, he is a crazy weapon. And John, I saw it last night right away online. People already talking about how he will be one of the top 3 picks in the draft, right? Like I can't see him sliding much past then. But where are you putting this dude in the NFL? Because he's going to want to dictate the market. We're going to talk about Brandon Ayuk in a very nice front-loaded contract that he got. That's a 30 annual average value per year. Like there's a ton of money on both sides of the corner and wide receiver spot, but this cat's showing that he can do both. And I don't know which one he's actually better at right now.
It is that will be just one of those what position do we play him at in the NFL? That is the question.
Yeah.
What do you do? Normally, generally, if you have a guy that can cover, he's got to play corner because it's much. I hate to say it like this because it's going to sound it's easier to find somebody that can run routes than somebody that can't run routes. And if you have a corner that can catch, well, usually they're wide receivers. So now you have yourself a defender, a primetime defender. Where does he fit? I don't know. And I think that's going to be the challenge for scouts. Which one do we play him at? It's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is
also still a problem. Like, where is he actually better?
I think what's tougher about it is how are we going to pay him? Because I think he's going to want to play his receiver to make more money. I know some corners make money, but receiver money, if you're a great receiver, you can make a lot of money. So I'm sure he'll want to play receiver. That's my thought. I'm sure he'll want to be thought of as a receiver. It's like when Jimmy Graham wanted to be thought of as a receiver, not a tight end or whatever it was, to make more money. I think that's going to be a big factor. I don't know.
I think you're right. I mean, the most money is at receiver. Again, 30 million to 20 million.
So why wouldn't he play receiver?
Very clear.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he enter as receiver,
I
get
don't know, 'cause he
drafted?
might just be better at corner, right? Like,
Well.
and there's something to be the best corner in football. It's fascinating. I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited to cover this for the next week because this coming into the Perch right now on the breaking news show that is 9 to noon.
Oh,
Holy cow! The Packers are releasing it. The Packers are letting it out. They can wear green.
oh, yeah.
You can wear green. The
Yes.
Packers will wear green in Brazil.
Yes.
John broke the news to us and then was surprised. Listen, oh my God. You can wear green. The Packers are going
Yeah.
to wear green. They're going to say, we are not afraid of anything that was said online or any nonsense that's being speculated. We're excited to showcase our green and gold to our fans in Brazil. Packers will wear their home greens against the Philadelphia Eagles for the Eagles home game, John, which is in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I do like throwing that one in there.
Yeah, who knew that there was fake news? That
Fake
you could
news.
not wear green after Labor Day in Brazil, right? Like, who knew that was not really true? Well, only the guy who came out and made a video of it days after the rumors were broken from Brazil and said you can wear green. The NFL sent two
Wearing
green.
his green
The
Packer
NFL
jersey.
sent 2 green teams to Brazil to play football. They're
Right.
going to wear green. Somebody's going. We're not going to change our colors for the game. Or, I mean, that would have been wild. Like, I'm trying to think of the wildest throwback for the Eagles. Don't they have one of those like bumblebee uniforms, or is that the Steelers?
The Steelers have the bumblebees, but the
No,
Eagles
don't
do
they
have
have
like a full black one. They have a
Don't they
Kelly
have
green.
like a? But don't they have like a blue and yellow checkered one or something like that?
They do have a blue
Yes.
and yellow.
That's the one you're thinking of. The blue and yellow. It's like very light blue, and yeah, that's the one. Now they don't have the checkered and the bumblebee stripes. But
What if we would have? What if we'd have completely mixed this thing up and we'd have gone old school Packer blue, and they'd have gone blue and yellow checkered, and then
Right.
we're both out there playing in blue jerseys. Green Bay versus the Eagles, both in blue jerseys.
Packers should have busted out the power balls if that was the case.
Well, and some weird. It's been kind of a weird start to the season here for Packers uniforms. They've been on the road twice wearing green and been home once wearing white. You guys realize that?
I did not
Wow,
realize
yeah.
that. Is that what happened in the preseason? I mean, I was
Yeah.
at the games,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, Armin doesn't even watch the games because he can't. He's stuck in a cave.
Well, I do have them on TV, but yeah.
Oh, you do have a television in that
Yeah,
cave.
I got-
Yeah, we
I-
gave
that
him a
cave,
TV
that
this
cave
year.
has electricity.
Yeah.
You don't have
We gave him
to
a TV this
light it
year.
up with a fireplace.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
there is a TV, and
You're
yeah,
welcome, by the way.
we were at. Thank you.
Yeah, we gave you that one.
Did you? Was it like you?
Yeah,
Did
we
you-
gifted you that TV.
Thanks,
in there, 'cause
Santa.
Otherwise, it was tough. There was
Whatever.
nothing in there.
Okay. But yeah. TV. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. So at Cleveland, we're wearing green. Cleveland wears white at home a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then we wore green in our. I'm blanking now
In Denver,
In
because they
Denver.
wore those weird white
because they
new ones.
I was surprised there,
Yep.
and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna be wearing green 3 times, and then we roll up at home, and it's a hot day, and we're wearing white.
We have not worn the right uniform
Right.
yet.
And
Not once.
I'm
Wow.
I'm a stickler for tradition. So it's preseason, whatever. But I'm like, I hope this doesn't become like a trend where we start wearing anything because NBA
Well,
teams don't
it's
wear
the home-
white at home anymore.
It's the
I
home
can't
team-
stand
yeah.
that.
Well, I want to know, Armin, home or like the Cowboys just pick when
But
we're at
that's-
home, we're wearing white.
but
I
that's-
liked when the Packers wore green in Dallas in January.
So, but that's always happened. Dallas always wears that uniform at home, so that's their traditional look. Same with Carolina; they wear the white
so
at home.
so tradition is good, but if a team
Sure.
breaks tradition,
No, they didn't. The Cowboys aren't. My point is, but Cowboys aren't breaking their tradition. They
well, the
always wear
Cowboys
white at home.
break. They broke the NFL's tradition of wearing dark colors at home.
In
Your
the
home colors,
Cowboys
your,
are-
your white jersey is your away jersey.
right?
It's the way it should always be.
Yeah, but the Cowboys have always been different in that regard. That's the only point I'm making. So I'll consider that an exception. There are certain teams that traditionally wear white at home, but it was just weird. And like I pointed out, except for Color Rush night, where the Packers wore white at Lambeau, they hadn't done that since '89. Lindy Infante, first couple home games of the year, wanted them to wear white at home, I guess because of the heat and the sun and all that stuff. I just thought that was interesting. But I'm not one of these guys that thinks it's like, I saw some people like
You said it was
disgusting.
blasphemous.
What wearing white at home is
You
disgusting.
said you hope that it doesn't become a thing.
That's true. I hope it doesn't become a thing. And I still want us to wear green at home, and white in the road. So
Well, you'll get to see the Packers wearing their home green jerseys, dominating the Philadelphia Eagles, because that's what we do in 2024 in green jerseys is dominate people. It's just seemingly what you have to do when the games actually matter, because preseason games don't actually count. The first one was dominating, right? Jordan Love looked really good in that green jersey in Cleveland. Hopefully that's the energy they're bringing down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm fired up. 1 week from today, it's game day for the Green Bay Packers. Today is game day in Madison. Badger fans, we're with you. We're getting you ready. This is your home for Badger football. We'll start up our pregame coverage already at 4 o'clock with Reed Magnum and Nick Brusewitz. They'll be live at the set, hanging out at Union South, getting you ready for the Badger Bash. Then Mike Heller has the award-winning pregame show that starts up at 6. Matt LePay and Tausch have the call coming up at 8, and then myself and Lance Allen late night with you into the wee hours of the morning.
Wee hours.
Post game with you from Camp Randall Stadium. I can't wait for it tonight. It's going to be a great one. Football is back, and we're back right after this. It's 9 to noon. Brandon Ayuk's going to be back at practice. CeeDee Lamb's already back. But can the bag come for Jamar Chase to get him back on the field? We'll get into this one coming up on the other side. It's 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Hanging out with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. Packers wearing green in Brazil 1 week from today. First football Friday of the fall, and it feels good. It's going to be a little hot today. I do have some long sleeves on. I had my whole Armin Sarian feel here today, John Kuhn. I decided to dress for the morning. Even though it's going to get hot, it's going to get warm. It's going to be a beautiful banner day in the good land. We talked about it yesterday with Matt LePay. People are going to be potentially enjoying some Varsity Collective cold ones at Camp Randall tonight, hopefully watching the Badgers roll. And we're going to be able to watch the Packers roll into Brazil in their greens. Everybody's excited so far on the talking text line, except when found out now the Eagles will be wearing their black helmets. Just fascinating that one team is saying we're not afraid of whatever this fake news controversy that maybe our new star running back potentially accidentally let spill on Chris Long's Green Light podcast, and it blew up to the nth degree. And then one team's like, you know what? We're just not going to risk it and wear anything green. We're going with our white jerseys, black numbers, black jerseys. We are staying away from it with the Philadelphia Eagles as we're 1 week away from football, and it is fully on in the NFL.
Yeah. How are you having your final for summer, Armin? But like your final, you don't know. What was that look for?
Well, like, are you asking me what do I have planned for the weekend? Is that what you're kind of?
What you have? Well,
first of all,
every good night ends with one last drink, and this is the last weekend of summer. So, what are you doing to enjoy it? I mean, we have college football starting us off here tonight.
Yeah,
which
I watched last night.
Billy, how are you doing this, by the way, with your football game and then this game, and you have conflict of interest tonight?
Yeah, really tough. Not gonna be able to be on the sidelines tonight for the Warhawks taking on Homestead. But full confidence.
Can I
in
ask
the boys.
who's going to set those televisions up then? If you're not on the sidelines, who's going to put those two big screen TVs with those monitors and the film so that you can watch film from the sideline? Who's going to do that now?
Oh, I appreciate you thinking that I'm entrusted with something as important as that. No, if anything, all I do, John, is make sure that it's flipped to offense and defense, like when the other one's coming up. But I don't set it all up. I let important people do that.
You press a button. Who's going to press that button now?
We're going to have to find somebody. But I have full confidence in our rather large coaching staff that we'll be able to hold it together.
Oh yeah, I think
really
so too.
It really is like a small technical college there, isn't it?
It's a larger coaching staff. Yeah, it's a larger coaching staff.
Just the TVs on the sideline you guys had rolling up. I saw on the YouTube.
Well, listen. People are using it, so we figured, if you can't,
why not?
You got to keep up with the Joneses. So
trying to win ball
games.
Games. We're out here
trying to win some ball games.
Trying to win games, So trying to win some championships.
When's the last time Arrowhead won state?
It's a good question. 2012. It's been a while.
It's been some time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's like the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks the Yankees.
Some of the funders, some of the boosters are starting to get itchy. They're starting to get a little upset.
Oh, John,
this is taking too long right now. Taking too long, Mr. Harbaugh. You need to get over the Ohio State hump. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, there's some statements. Yeah. So hopefully it is a little conflict of interest, but it'll be good. You mentioned how you're enjoying the final Labor Day weekend away from the full NFL. There's a pork butt in the fridge, John, that is going to hit the Traeger this weekend.
Oh, nice.
We're doing it.
We're doing the full pork shoulder. It's gonna be a good one. We're very, very excited because also this is elite big guy final send off of summer, right? Like if it's just tipping 80, I can probably enjoy almost all of Saturday's college football slate outside and not be all that uncomfortable. If this was 1 week ago, we would have been cast into the air conditioning and I would have just been checking that bad boy on, the Chef IQ app and feeling pretty cool that I could look at my meat on my phone. No pause.
It does seem like a much more comfortable weekend in that regard, right?
It's going to be a great one.
It was so hot. The humidity was so, and I was out for my walk last night. And it was really nice out there. So yeah, it is going to be nicer in that regard.
It doesn't sound like you have any plans of how you're sending off summer here this weekend.
I was just a little bit. I think when the finality of the reality of it,
I don't
know if that's the right term. And when John said, "How are you spending your last?" I just hate that. Remember when we got into it, Butch, about Labor Day versus Memorial Day, John? Do you remember that? I do.
Memorial Day is far superior.
Far
to Labor Day.
superior for this
And
reason.
it's only because of the, people call it Sunday scaries, but you have the end of summer
It's
scaries.
just, I have the ultimate
right?
end of summer scaries. Now it's going to
When
be
you have yourself, very simple. What's better, Friday night or Sunday morning?
Friday night.
Friday night.
Exactly.
right.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is where we're at right
And
here.
then everyone's like, oh, fall's great because of football. I know that. I like football. I like that part of it, but I'm not happy about summer being over. So just the reality of it is, John, when you said it, it took my dauber down a little bit just because
Your
of that.
what?
Dauber down.
The dauber, you ever hear that term? Don't get your dauber up. Or get your,
Dauber?
I've
Hey,
heard
thought it was
I don't know
dauber,
if you
but-
can say that on the air. What the heck?
your dauber, I don't know, whatever it is. And but I don't have specific plans like Billy and his butts, pork butts and all that stuff.
I've seen a butt.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen a butt.
But I don't have a pork buckle, but I should be a nice weekend, obviously. Just gonna spend time with Laura and Lena and
Why don't you get you a
spend
big old
outside.
piece of meat and throw
I've
that
seen a
bad boy
butt.
on the grill?
Maybe we'll do that. I know we're gonna go to my parents' house on Sunday and we're all gonna be together. It'll be nice. It's gonna be great. Should be relaxing, but no big plans. Like
All
I'm
right,
not.
so-
I don't have
so-
any like.
I got the
Specific
definition of dauber here,
Yeah.
Armin. This is from the Cambridge Dictionary. A person who secretly tells someone in authority that someone else has done something wrong. So a dauber is a tattletale.
There's no way that that's the definition I was looking for. You've never heard the term "don't get your dauber down" or get your. Come on, someone on the NickLayLaw.com talking text line
Did
has
you
got that.
use wrong vernacular?
Possibly.
I would love it if we busted them.
Derek,
would
That
love
sounds
it
like
if we
we did.
busted
Yeah,
him.
it sounds like you may have.
Derek and Whitewater, Armin, I figured you'd be going to the Walworth County Fair to see Nelly tonight. My man Nelly is doing every concert he can. Walworth County Fair has got Nelly tonight. He'll do whatever it takes.
Let's
man.
go.
He'll do whatever it takes to stay on the stage. I gotta say I appreciate that. But
John, what about
Yeah.
you? How are we soaking in this last little bit of summer this weekend?
You gotta be getting the boat out, John.
I'm gonna tell you what, tomorrow, and this is a rare thing, there will be no golf in the morning because that boat is going to be launched early. It is spectacular weather tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to take it out.
And we are going, and we are going out there. And then when we get back, Mr. Lutzy from Wasita Farms, remember him, Armin?
Of course.
He's cooking a big jambalaya in the biggest pot you've ever seen. So
Well, that'd
we
be
have-
good.
We have ourselves a day tomorrow. That's how we are sending off summer, with a big boat day tomorrow, some jambalaya in the evening, a bunch of friends, a bunch of tomorrow's gonna be great. And then the weather cools down a little bit.
That's the right way to go.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were gonna try and catch your dinner tomorrow out there. Gio try and do like this is my challenge.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna try and catch my dinner.
And you know what? A lot of people don't think. A lot of people think, oh, you're fishing for walleye. No, smallmouth. If you catch a smallmouth and fry them up fresh, they are spectacular too.
How about that? Smallmouth.
Smallmouth, so better than largemouth bass in the eating variety.
I've never eaten a largemouth.
Can you? Okay.
A largemouth
But
is
I
like the
would.
trophy
I,
fish.
listen,
you know?
I'll tell you right now.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
want to
afraid
hold
try.
that bad boy up?
Yeah, largemouth. But smallmouth fight pound for pound better than any fish in the water, I believe. Isn't that true?
Oh.
That's the most enjoyable catch that I've, at least the most I've
I
heard
mean,
that.
I can name you about 20 fish that. Oh, you're saying pound for pound.
Pound
So
for
now I
pound.
got to do the pound for pound.
Yeah,
No,
come on, John.
no-
just do those
no
conversions
one's-
in your head. You're fine.
no
it's
one-
like 2-3 minutes.
No fish species fights harder for their size. I read that
Oh.
once. I could be wrong. You can correct
You
me on
might
the
be
text
true.
line.
I think
I
all
love that
fish.
you just
I-
supported it as fact right away.
I think all fish fight pretty hard. I don't know a fish that once you hook him, he goes, "All right, bring me in the boat. All right, yeah, let me swim to you. Okay, you got me. I'm coming in. I'm not going to
bluegill-
exhaust myself. Let me swim to you."
The bluegill don't know what's going on. I mean, usually you can get one of those in there pretty easily.
Sounds like Snooty Armin's trying to rip the commoners as usual with that dauber
Yeah.
crap.
You're always trying to talk. Why are you trying to talk down to us?
No,
all the time?
that's crazy. Okay, there was no type of privilege situation
Headbanger
there.
rig. Armin, I'm 58 years old and I've never heard that phrase.
Bear, sir, you're good, Armin. Don't get your dauber down is indeed a recognized saying. I know I've heard that from my uncle or somebody. Don't get your yeah.
Here we
There's
go.
no
Pearson Wausau. What does dauber down mean? Disagreement or defeat? Having your dauber down is an image of discouragement. And
There you go.
defeat. Hanging in your head. There you
Hey.
go. Look at you.
Your boy got one. All right.
And Derek and Whitewater. You're right, Armin. Smallmouth bass are more flaky, like walleye, to largemouth or soft. So you do have some supporters here in your fish takes.
Wow, how about that?
Wow.
You thought
What a turnaround in the morning
you,
for Armin Sarian.
You thought your boy wasn't a man of the people, meeting potatoes. You don't know. You thought he wasn't
catching
that
his
guy.
dinner, John.
Yeah, you thought I was so too fancy.
Don't put the cart before the horse, there. I mean, there's a slogan everybody knows. Don't do that yet.
What a turnaround for Armin Sarian.
There's a lot of show for you to kick our listeners in the face.
That's true. It's early on. It is
a lot of time
on.
for you to offend.
I don't want to do that, but it is early in the show. I have to recognize that, no doubt about it.
It's a hell of a turnaround. It's almost like the one that Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers made, how quickly they were able to. How quickly we're able to flip that thing around. Armin thought that we finally dunk on him for a statement. Instead, boom, he's going to be back in practice ready for week 1.
That's right. Boom, I'm on the field.
$30 million annual value right there in your pocket. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's how quickly it happened for the San Francisco 49ers. One of the strangest offseason dramas finally ends. We'll discuss, and Matt Schneidman joins the show in 20 minutes. Daubers up. Very, very happy. Heads not hanging. A lot of excitement here today. It's 9 to noon on the game. Hey guys, best part about football, professional football being 1 week away is that we're 1 week away from playing the NFL Pick'em game on Underdog Fantasy. Hey, it's Billy Schmidt. I love Underdog Fantasy. It's my favorite place to invest throughout the Sunday of football action because all you do is select higher or lower on a player's stats. And you have the opportunity to win up to 325 times your money playing the Underdog Pick'em game. It's super simple. It's even easier to get started. All you do is download the Underdog Fantasy app and sign up with promo code Billy. Underdog will give you a highly discounted pick to use on your first pick'em entry. Plus, give you a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Billy BILLY to claim your new customer special of an gimme first pick plus a deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Welcome back. It's 9 to noon. Matt Schneidman joins in about 15 minutes from right now. Talk about the full Packers roster, 53-man. We will not bring up Alex Hale's ability to kick in the Southern Hemisphere, at least until the back half of the interview. Guys, yesterday.
That was tough. That was a tough moment at the end of last week.
We're
We'll figure it out.
We're gonna turn a new leaf. So yesterday, we find resolution, John Kuhn, Armin Sarian, in one of the offseason's longest running sagas in the NFL when Brandon Ayuk finally reaches an extension. Now, 4 years, $120 million extension is how it is phrased. It comes up with $76 million guaranteed, $47 paid to Ayuk before April 1st of 2025. So he joins Tyreek Hill as the 5th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL with an annual average value of $30 per year. Now, his agent was potentially shooting down the Adam Schefter report, John, that yesterday Schefter said, like, this deal has been out here since August 10th.
Yeah.
Since Billy Schmidt turned 30 years old, they said, we're going to give you 30 a year if you want it. His agent said, it might be he said, that's factually incorrect, but the check still cashes. The check finally comes in for Brandon Ayuk, who seemed like he was going 3 different places, then didn't want to go there. He ultimately wanted his money, wanted to play for San Francisco. And I think both sides ultimately come out of here very, very happy, just now wondering what happens with Trent Williams.
This was the weirdest days of our lives contract negotiations since Terrell Owens was doing sit-ups in a driveway trying to work out his deal. Right? This has been so strange, so odd, where at times you're hearing sources and media people say, well, he doesn't even want to be in San Francisco. And then others are saying, no, he wants to be in San Francisco. He just wants his money. I don't know how this happened to the point where wouldn't this have been on the table before? And now we have his agent coming out saying this was never on the table before. Just odd, just completely strange, completely weird in a time when this is your re-up year. You're going into the last year of your contract is your re-up year. For players that are starters and good players, especially young ones coming off their rookie contracts, the time is right when Brandon Ayuk did it. Not when Trent Williams is trying to do it.
3 years left.
Not when Jamar Chase is trying to do it. So those I understand being more contentious. This one to last, and same with CeeDee Lamb to some extent. But CeeDee Lamb was different because CeeDee Lamb was not texting quarterbacks from other teams.
Yeah, posting clips of other teams' practices.
Putting it on Instagram. He was also not, demanding trades. I mean, San Francisco said, oh, okay, we got 2 bidders out here. No, I was just kidding. I really don't like those teams. So, just a weird way for it to end, and a number that makes you think, did you every time we have winners and losers, Armin? Every time there's a contract, there's a winner and a loser. And in this case, I can honestly say I don't really see anybody winning this one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if what Schefter said was true and the Niners got him at their price and didn't miss any time of him playing, you could say they won. But does that make Ayuk a loser? He got $30 million a year. So it's hard to look at a guy and say, boy, you got that money. It's a loser. It's hard to say who the winner and loser is in this case. I guess Niners fans are the winners because they don't have to worry about it anymore. They got their guy.
Yeah, they get Brandon Ayuk back.
And he's playing on their team, which is really all that matters in the end for them. And probably for the team. They want him obviously in uniform playing for them. So
Niners have done this back-to-back years, right? Nick Bosa skipped, I'm pretty sure, all of training camp, same deal, trying to get every last dollar, and he did. 34 annually for him. Ayuk's is 30. But John, to your point, why would this not just be the starting spot? We also, I think everybody knew this was the asking price. It's kind of the going rate. It's not outlandish. It's high money in the NFL, but it's seemingly right around where you'd give a first team All-Pro player. And we could have done this 3 weeks ago. However, I am interested to see if the language changed up, right? Maybe the guaranteed money changes and the timing of it, but it definitely reached a boiling point. And a lot of these don't get as public with the boiling point of John Lynch saying, hey man, at some point you got to play. And Brandon Ayuk walking out onto the practice field with his gym bag saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks, but my back is still really hurting. That's where the Jamar Chase thing seems to continue to add more legs. You mentioned it now, Jamar with 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah, the NFL.
That's a different one.
They're going to have to do something about the hold-ins on years over one, right? I don't think you can do. Me personally, and I am so pro player, it's not even funny. I am always on the player side when it comes to contracts and leverage and things. But this one, I'm not. You have to earn your stripes. You get drafted in the first round and you have a 5th-year option. That's the way it is. I mean, you are a first-round draft pick. You're making boatloads of money in your first contract anyways as a rookie relative to the other players. So you got to wait until your 4th year is done. I do not agree with this type of negotiating because, quite frankly, it hurts the team and it hurts other players as well when you start doing things like this. So I don't think players can have multiple years left on their deals and then go back and try and negotiate with their teams. Teams and it's tough because teams can cut a guy at any point in time.
Sure.
But something needs to be done about this, or we're going to watch one of the best left tackles in football not play, or one of the best wide receivers in football not play.
Well, in Trent's, he's straight holding out, right? So like he's getting fined, like his is a little bit different. And the Chase one, John, like precedent being set of doing it after 3 years or after 4 years when talking about the extension for a first-year player, first-round pick in their rookie contract, the Bengals just didn't do it. They were not paying dudes with 2 years left in their contracts. Mike Brown just wasn't going to handle business that way. Then last year, Joe Burrow was into the conversation, and they signed him after 3 years. And I think Jamar Chase, right, wrong, or indifferent, is saying, him without me? That what it is? Without me a part of the equation? Like, and again, I don't know that he's right or wrong, but this is a dude that sat out an entire year of college football after being the best player in the national championship game. It said, I know I'm going to get my money, and did.
See, and
like, he's going to lose game checks, John, but his base salary is $1 million.
But I know
when you're talking about a $30 million annual value, that's nothing compared to what you could be losing.
But I know why they did Joe Burrow. They did Joe Burrow to add another year to the extension so that they could, you know, prorate that hit so that it's not the extent. Every single one of these. And people say, well, why do you do it before the contract's up anyways? Number one, for the players, so you have some security, so you're not playing a lame duck season, potentially getting a career-ending injury and then not getting paid anymore. That's the player side. For the team, why would the team ever agree to this? Well, the team wants to do this so that the salaries that they pay
when it's advantageous to them
have an extra year chopped in there so that they can, you know, bring down the average per year, right? Jordan Love's $55 million per year is not really $55 million per year because it's an extension that this year brings the value down to what, 48, 47, something to that nature. So that's why the teams want to do this. So, hey, Bengals got a little crazy. They got a little frisky. Well, why extend with 1 year left? We know this guy. Let's extend with 2 years left.
Yep. And
then we can really bring that quarterback number down. Well, aren't we talk about unforeseen consequences? And now you got a wide receiver saying, hey, wait,
what about me?
That happened there.
You brought his APY down so he could get paid early. Why not me? And I don't think the NFL wants to play in these waters because it will eventually turn into 1 year deals every year that are listed as 5 year deals.
Right.
It'll just be constant renegotiating because players are going to, and then how do you answer the bell if you're a player like Jamar Chase and you have a down year or you have an injured year? Are you going to give money back? Or are you going to renegotiate after that year?
And it's tough because teams all want to win and they all want their great players in the field. So it's easy to say, well, just let him sit then. Just let him sit and eventually he'll come back to play. It's easy to say that, but you want to win a championship. It's hard to do that.
But I think the NFL does. I think they do now potentially for the first time have a holdout problem. The holding out has been forever. My first year in the NFL, Hines Ward held out with the Steelers. We played our first preseason game. He was in the locker room after preseason, got his contract done. The holdouts have been forever, but I think now for the first time, they might have a problem with it based off of the way a couple of these deals are looking.
The language in the CBA allowing these hold-ins is an issue, and they're going to try to address it. It makes me, John, more interested in how this negotiation ends up with the 18 games, right? Because like I do believe I think a lot of us are in lockstep thinking they're going to try to get it done and move to the 18 games before the end of the CBA. But this next CBA negotiation, this will be addressed. And I'm fascinated to see how they play it out and how they negotiate this part out, because the players got to be loving the leverage that they're having right now. All right. We love when Matt Schneidman joins the conversation. He jumps in next. Hour 2, 9 to noon on a Football Friday, features our guy, Matt Schneidman. Right after this, it's Kuhn, Billy, and Armin statewide on the Game. 9 to noon, hour 2, Billy Schmid, John Kuhn, Armin Zarian with all of you on the NicolateLaw.com talking text line. That's 414-799-1973. This hour of the program brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Everybody relax. Happy Place Hemp has you covered with the best legally, locally produced hemp products in the state of Wisconsin, whether it's those Drift seltzers. John was talking about those CBD infused seltzers yesterday. THC infused seltzer Drift from Happy Place Hemp is the winner, right? And it's not some weird one that you're finding at the gas station, right? Locally, legally produced stuff by Wisconsin guys in Muskego, Wisconsin. Rob and Chris are fantastic. Everything you need from them at happyplacehemp.com also comes with a 25% discount when you use promo code Billy at checkout. That's the right way to go at happyplacehemp.com. Now, Matt Schneidman joins us here Fridays for a final judgment. We hang out with our guy, Matt Schneidman. Final judgment on the kicking conversation. It's Narv Dog, Braden Narvison, Matt Schneidman, 59-yarder, game winner. A lot to be impressed with. Understandably so, why the Packers liked what they saw in the preseason. But I like Brian Gutekunst talking about saying, yeah, we liked them coming out. They were definitely scouting the kicking game. I don't think they would have been aggressive enough to take one, but it makes sense that they ended up going and were confident going with a young guy, right?
Is Narv Dog
a
nickname from his past, or is that a Billy Schmid self-appointed nickname?
Well, and since you asked, Narv Dog actually goes back to Chris Narvison.
Great innings eater.
Real innings eater for the Brewers,
years.
Matt. You'd have loved Chris Narvison. Good 4-5 starter in the National League. You were pulling him after 5 innings because you didn't want him to hit.
He's everything you wanted out of a 5th starter.
Yes.
I would say. Yeah. Chris
nice
Narvison,
curveball, left-hander. Yeah. So that's where Narv Dog came from.
Couple of years for the Brewers.
Yeah, Rich Bisaccia talked to us yesterday and said they did some good work on him coming out. And obviously he wasn't the only kicker. They did work on a handful of kickers. And I'd imagine that's because they were a little more skeptical of the kicking situation. I mean, I think Bill Huber brought this up earlier in the week. Rich Bisaccia kind of joked with us at the start of training camp, or it might have even been before training camp, when they had 3 kickers on the roster. He was like, who knows? It might be these 3. It might be 6. It might be a different 3. And it ended up being 6. It was Jack Podlesny, James Turner, Alex Hale, Anders Carlson, Greg Joseph, and now Braden Narvison. And yes, he's got a nice body, is what Rich Bisaccia said. I don't know if he meant body of work or actual body. You say pause.
It's a ripped pause. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go, Rich.
He obviously has a leg on him. 6 for 7 in the preseason with that 59-yarder. The one he missed was a 58-yarder. College wasn't great. He was about a 78% kicker at Western Kentucky and Iowa State, or North Carolina State. He kicked at Iowa State very briefly before Western Kentucky. But the stat that stands out to me, especially after the Packers' PAT struggles last year, Braden Narvison went 196 for 196 on PATs in college. I understand it's a different length.
Well, it's different.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
it's great that he never missed one, but I mean, that's a huge asterisk, obviously, because it's not a 37-yarder or whatever it is in the NFL.
33-yarder. But most importantly, I would like to know where he was lining up those extra points, because John,
hash marks.
No, I want us to line it up down the middle. I want to line that thing up down the middle. I don't like lining the extra points up on the hash marks. That's a hell of a stat, Matt. And you say, let's overcorrect to the opposite side. That would be onto the overcorrection side of just saying we need to get the gimme points because we think that we can score a lot of touchdowns this year.
For sure. I mean, I think it was after Dontavian Wicks caught that touchdown in the Cowboys game. Anders just clanks an extra point off the right upright. And some of those are just kind of momentum vibe killers that are less harmless. And I understand this wasn't Anders' fault entirely, but the extra point against the Steelers last year in week 10, they needed a touchdown instead of a field goal at the end of the game. I mean, these things make a huge difference. And yes, obviously huge asterisks, like Armin said, because it's a different distance, but they hope Braden Narvison can give them some of the consistency that was lacking. Rich Bisaccia said yesterday, Joseph and Carlson just didn't give them the consistency they were looking for. And I think everyone who followed and watched the kicking battle could have told you that.
Even more so, I think this sends a message, a message that Brian Gutekunst will not sit and wait for anybody. You get on board, you be professional, and you do what we expect professional players to do, whether that's kicker, whether that's backup quarterback, whether it's cornerback. It does not matter what position you play. because we will go out and we will make a move. It feels different now in Green Bay in that aspect. Would you agree?
Yes, and I thought maybe the most interesting part of Brian Gutekunst's presser with us on Wednesday was when he said he's probably not as patient with specialists as he should be. And then he goes into talking about Ted Thompson. And John, you were on these teams when Ted would stick with Mason, and he always came out the other side better. I remember after he missed those 4 or 5 kicks in that Detroit game in 2018, Mason made like 104 out of his next 109 kicks or something like that. It was ridiculous. But I thought maybe even more telling from Gutekunst on Wednesday was at the end of that answer, in which he also mentioned J.K. Scott. He was like, J.K. Scott's become a really good punter since he left here. I thought that was funny that J.K. Scott got a mention. Brian Gutekunst, and I'm paraphrasing here because he didn't say this directly, but he basically said, I can't afford to take another year with a kicker who we need to develop because we're in win now mode. Mm-hmm. He basically said, with the aspirations and what we want to accomplish this year, I felt I needed to make a decision right now. Yes, I understand I'm not being patient, but I'm making a spur of the moment decision because, and I'm going to translate for you here, we think we can win a Super Bowl and we're not going to let Anders Carlson mess it up.
That's the biggest key to me is this is signs of all in. This is signs of we are going for it this year. We are not 2025 plan. We are in the now plan. And I think that means at any point in time throughout this season, the Packers could continue to be newsmakers. They could continue to be newsworthy because they do believe that they are that close. Matt, if you look at the roster now that it's kind of final, we still have pieces interchanging here, from time to time. Lost a lot of guys that we put on waivers. I think we lost 4 to waiver claims, 3 to waiver claims, and then another 2 or 3 that chose to go to other teams' practice squads. Do you think the Packers, look at any of those spots and say, man, I thought that guy was going to clear. I thought that guy would make it through. Or do you think it was just that deep of a roster, that good of a roster, that this was inevitable?
I certainly didn't expect it. And Brian Gutekunst was asked on Wednesday kind of about the same thing. And you kind of never really know. I will say Christian Welch signed to the Broncos active roster, not their practice squad. So he got cut, wasn't claimed, and signed to a 53. So good for him. But yeah, we all know the stat that they hadn't had anyone claimed since Taysom Hill in 2017 by the Saints. And then they have Dubose, Johnson, and Royce Newman, which I think was the biggest surprise of the 3. It does go to show that this roster is deep, but I don't know if you can ever really project that, how many guys are going to get claimed. And if they really cared that much about him, they wouldn't have cut him in the first place. With Royce, he probably wasn't going to be back on the practice squad anyway. With Anthony Johnson Jr., he was going to be the 4th safety, and Zane Anderson is better at special teams, so that's why they took him. That makes sense. And then Grant Dubose, sure, they probably would have liked to bring him back on the practice squad, but if they really wanted him more than Malik Heath, and again, we talked all summer about that number 6 wide receiver spot being about blocking and special teams, and yes, Dubose can do that, but that's why Heath was on the 53 all last year. Are they devastated? I don't think so. But I think it does speak to the depth of this roster for sure.
Matt Schneidman joining us here on 9 to Noon. Now, I'm not saying Tom Hallion saying his is in the jackpot here, but at what point, this is now year 3 for Rich Bisaccia, and as Matt LaFleur just did not sound happy when he was talking to you guys on Wednesday and said, that's a question for Rich Bisaccia. Armin played it a number of times. We really enjoyed the curtness of his voice in that moment. He does have to be on the proverbial hot seat here, right? Like there needs to be steps forward in the Packers special teams, or are we expecting maybe too much there? Because you mentioned Zane Anderson. He's on the team because you would assume that's a Rich Bisaccia pull. Like he does have a little bit of the power you'd assume here. Have we seen the steps forward in that department where that shouldn't be a part of the conversation?
You're saying Rich Bisaccia is on the hot seat?
Hot seat might be, like, again, as in the jackpot, meaning like he could be right there on the firing line. I think he's getting warm where people would be expecting more returns on the investment.
Well, it sure seemed like a little little bit of a quality in LaFleur's answer there, didn't it? A little salty. I don't know what it is, but he's like, ask Rich.
I don't think that has anything to do with Bisaccia. I just think that LaFleur is often seemingly in a grouchy mood when he talks to us because he doesn't like talking to us.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
I don't think it has anything to do
What's
with
not to
Bisaccia.
like
I
about
just think
talking with you?
Huh?
What's not to like about talking with
Well,
you?
I'm going to answer the actual football question first. I don't want to speculate on that, but
Is it because guys walk in late?
oh yeah, I mean that's ridiculous. And actually, I'm gonna give an answer here. So first,
good.
on
I've been
the
waiting.
first answer, the kicking battle, I think a little bit of it is just A, he's not a huge fan of talking to us, it seems. B, I think there is some not worry, but angst regarding the kicking situation. He did say it's uncharted territory. I don't think it's a referendum. I don't know if that's the right word on Rich Bisaccia's job status.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good
Are
word,
there
actually.
parts of the Packers special teams that can get better? Sure. But I don't think Rich is on the hot seat. I mean, Daniel Whelan has gone from a guy who never played in the NFL to a pretty solid punter in 1 year, it seems. They have the back-to-back first-team all-pro kick returner. Yes, the field goal operation needs to improve, but like LaFleur gets grace with his defensive coordinator hirings, I think Rich Bisaccia should with his kicker pulls. And I wonder how much of a kicker's success is coaching. I mean, maybe that's a
very fair question. Yeah.
Naive thing of me to say, but it seems fairly simple, right? I mean, you just never know. But I want to what's not to like about talking to us? I don't know. He talks to us 5 days a week. Sometimes it's repetitive.
You
similar.
did that last year.
Me? With me?
Yeah.
Man,
John,
John's
like 6 or
John's
7.
making the reference that you were on our show during football season, every show, and we enjoyed it. Why wouldn't he enjoy it? Yeah, I know, but I think he's
why
saying,
would he not enjoy hanging out and talking to you guys?
I think the nature of the conversation is a bit different, don't you think?
I think
Also,
so too.
he is
Which is
also-
why
I'm starting to get nervous because you have him for a special segment all year long, and if he doesn't like talking to you
It's a
in
fair
that
question, yeah.
press room, is he going to enjoy talking to you on your
it's
podcast?
completely different. And that's what I was just going to say. I
Podcasts
think
are
it's
different, huh?
I think it's a little different because
Give me some
it's a
wine.
more relaxed sit down where we dive into maybe deeper stuff that he enjoys talking about more rather than Matt LaFleur hates the daily injury update questions. And since we talk to him every single day, it's not as much big picture stuff as it is daily stuff about that day's practice. And I think, before the Denver joint practice, there was a Denver reporter who asked about Mike Shanahan's influence on LaFleur's career because Shanahan's going into the Broncos Ring of Honor. LaFleur gave a phenomenal answer about how he used to sit in the Washington office late night with Mike Shanahan and the staff, going through cut-ups of Cam Newton and Tim Tebow to figure out how they were going to use RG3. It's like if you get Matt LaFleur talking about something different than the daily stuff that we always ask about, he's great. And that's why I think when I sit down with him later today for our first episode that's airing Tuesday, first on my show, I'm hoping for some better. But
It'll be good.
Regarding
Just don't ask any injuries. Don't ask any injuries.
I'll be honest, I sympathize. I mean, imagine if you were a chef and every day, like the entire press corps of a city came to ask you,
do this.
Well, what's wrong with the breakfast this morning?
Don't you do
was
this.
it the vegetables or was it the chef?
No, you can't do that. I'm sorry. It comes with the job. The number one thing we want to know is guys' availability, their injuries. So just go out there. You don't have to give a frivolous answer, but just give us something.
Absolutely. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask the questions. I understand why they're asked, but I can also see where he's coming from. But I will say, is a press conference a team meeting? No. Should we be held to the same standards that players are? No. But on the baseline, it's a level of professionalism, and by no means should we be calling him coach or being like, yes, sir, bow down, I'll do whatever you say in a press conference. But silencing your phone and not coming in late per se, I'm not taking a shot at Jason Wilde. I'm just saying, like, in general, It's just like common courtesy and professionalism.
It's like going to church. It's like going to church, but
Figure
I
it
still
out.
think you should try and get there on time. You should try and keep your phone silenced.
Common
But you should be
courtesy.
able to get in there late if you're running late.
They're
You should
doing a radio
They're
show.
not closing the doors of church. Like that's just the way I look at it. But I know it's not church. I'm just trying to come up with some sort of example. Yes, but is it that serious too? I mean, I don't know.
I'm in the middle of a very, very detailed answer, and now you're interrupting me on this program. I appreciate it.
fair
I'm
enough.
sorry, but
Fair
we
Well, the phones thing is wild.
yeah, the phones thing,
Okay,
Matt.
I agree with that.
Silence them up. What are we
agree with
doing?
that. I agree with that.
So since you opened it up, I do want.
Why do the phones go off? Are they not smart enough to turn their phones off? Do they not care enough to turn their phones off? Or are their phones turning themselves back on? Why do these phones go off?
Some people are just on cloud 9 when they're at work.
And I think we can accept that some people are dumber than others, right?
Oh, some people just like
can't we
working.
just all agree on that?
I
Also,
mean,
like,
I don't know. Maybe that's me then. I don't know. I don't know.
maybe you guys are different.
Am I the
I
guy?
can't remember the last time I had a ringer on my phone. I've had it on vibrate for
Me
as
too.
long as I can remember.
Me too.
Same
Since I
vibe.
Vibrate.
thing.
Who wants that thing? Mine is on silent, no vibrate, nothing.
You guys are gonna offend a certain demographic
Since
here.
I got my Samsung Galaxy, I think 6 or 7.
Throw that out.
The first
we don't
one.
need that.
No, that was years ago. I'm
We don't
saying
need your
I
phone
have not
reference
had
because we know you're a green text message guy and it drives us all nuts.
But my point is, I haven't had an active ringer on because I know why would I have one on in radio? You don't put a ringer on. That being said, it's not like a landline where, like Wayne, for instance, had the landline. I can't fault him there. The landline goes off. That's a regular phone. You can't turn the ringer off of a
Sure.
landline.
Having a ringer on a phone is crazy behavior to me. That's like an old person
Working on
who has like hearing deficiencies.
Well, or you just can't feel it very well. You have the phone sitting on the nightstand. You want to be able to hear it. You guys are really going to upset a large demographic here with
That's
this one.
fine.
Now the two
This
on the
is
bottom
great
half
point.
of the screen, John, they can offend the working class people that have
Oh,
their
yeah.
ringer on while they're at work doing stuff,
I
out
don't
in the
think a ri-
garage,
I don't think
fixing some things.
You think a phone ringer is a culture war? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
No, I think it's.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Yeah,
belt
I
pack.
do think so.
If you have
Listen,
the belt
I don't
pack.
care. I
I
don't
think
care if
people
you
will
have
get
your
upset,
ringer
yeah.
on. I
Yeah.
don't care if you have your ringer on. You might have your ringer on because you're too dumb to turn it off. You might have your ringer on by
Yeah,
accident.
and some
right?
of us might do the first one, right?
not in a
Because some
press
of us are
conference.
dumb.
Because guess what? When you, and this goes for when you ask like a dumb question or a reckless question or have your ringer on or walk in late, it's not just you. And with a guy like LaFleur who sometimes gets moody, it can ruin the
Sometimes.
press conference for everybody because it flips a switch with him and then maybe it changes his mood for the rest of the time. Am I being selfish? Probably, but that's all I'm saying.
No, I get your point. I mean, and that does happen in press conferences. It's happened famously many times where one reporter makes the subject so angry he walks out and nobody gets their story.
That's
know,
why
it's
if you have a question that might tick someone off and trigger them,
That's last.
save it for the end.
Yeah.
Save it for
I
when they
never
say time for
understood
Jim
that.
Moore.
I never understood that either.
Well,
Like,
that-
why do you ever even get pissed off in these things? I
I know,
keep hearing.
John, but
It's a
Listen,
very good
listen,
question, John.
do you remember several years ago when they asked, "How can you take Marquez Valdes-Scantling right now? Like, how can you stand him?"
how can
How
you
can you
stand
live
it?
with it?
How can you live with him right now?
It might have been delivered a little bit salty, but that was a fine question. I mean, to take offense to that, I was blown away by how much backlash that
That's
reporter was given.
I love Mark Daniels, and he'll admit that now. That is a ridiculous way to phrase a question.
Well, to say
Yeah,
how can
it
you
was-
live with him is tough to say.
But it was,
Okay,
but
but
it's fair
just-
in the moment.
But
Right.
it's fair in the moment. So just how he asked that question is the game that MVS played, right? So MVS dropped the ball and Mark dropped the question. He asked it poorly, but
Yeah, but
it's a valid question.
who had the 53-yard catch when the Packers were backed up on their own goal line to send it into overtime in the first place? Marquez Valdes-Scantling did.
So maybe a better way to ask it: does the good outweigh the bad? Obviously, you get
Well,
both from
no,
Mark.
And
again,
that's why,
that-
Armin, you get paid so much money because that's a great way to ask it.
No, there's
Great.
a couple of people that are getting
Yeah.
paid a lot of money here.
And there's a
definitely
lot
not
of
here on
people
the
that
left side
think
of the
Armin
screen,
is
yeah.
just playing Switzerland there.
Yeah. So there are, and
I'm
you
a
can do
journalist.
that. Yeah, you 414-799-1973. You can weigh in on that last statement. Matt, we really appreciate it, man. Good luck tonight. Don't aggravate him. Don't
You'll be
ask
fine.
anything mean or anything that will trigger something until the last question.
Can I plug a couple things real quick?
Why not?
So we have the first we have the first Brick in the Stick episode of the season coming out middle of next week. I believe John and I will be recording Tuesday.
So you didn't change the name of the podcast?
No,
then?
we're going to stick with it now.
It's a good idea.
We're both flying to Brazil on Wednesday. We're going to record Tuesday. It'll be out for you on all podcast platforms later on Tuesday. Then I've got the first Matt LaFleur podcast coming out Tuesday, recording today. That'll be out Tuesday on my show and all shows across the game. And then I've got a Jordan Love profile dropping Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to sit down with Jordan and LaFleur today for that. Talk to Aaron earlier in the week. He was great as always. And,
wow, great content.
Ryan Gutekunst for it. Talk to Peyton Manning. So check that out on The Athletic early next week.
How did you turn into the Pat McAfee of the Green Bay Beat?
That's a lot of content.
Number one guy right now.
The Pat McAfee of the Green Bay Beat?
Getting a lot of good guests is what I mean.
You get all of the action right now.
Listen, I just like to think that
meteoric rise for Matt Schneidman here.
I like to think people respect the work I do. I hope my work speaks for itself and they trust the stories I tell. So what I like to do whenever I write these features on athletes is I talk to all the outside people first. So then when I sit down with Jordan today, he'll maybe give me some more insights, some better answers because he trusts that I'm going to tell the story well because I've put in the effort to talk to people that he knows well.
Can I point something out? I noticed you started dressing a little bit differently since you become the Pat McAfee of the Beat.
How so?
Well, you kind of dress like a normal human being now.
No, I just don't dress like a jackass and wear.
So you admit you have changed a little bit since becoming.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say I've matured.
I think you've changed.
I've matured.
Hey, is this the farthest you've flown to go to work?
Maturing is changing.
No, I don't think so. I went direct from San Francisco to London when I covered the Raiders to cover a game they played at Wembley, and that was 10 and a half. I think this is 10.
And you had to book your own thing, so you had to go Green Bay, Chicago, Sao Paulo. Is that what you're doing?
Correct. And then on the way back on Saturday, I go Sao Paulo, Houston, Chicago, Green Bay.
Oh man, okay. It's a lot.
You get those answers?
I'm just kind of curious. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Armin
he wants to know so he can track.
I'm curious about that. Yeah. I mean, you guys said the team plan. That's easy. That's easy to find. But
where are you guys flying out of? Milwaukee?
Who?
You.
No, we're flying out of Green Bay. We got a special plane. It's only 10 and a half hours from Green Bay. The only problem is we got to check in at 4:45 a.m. Not great.
Fair enough.
Well, it is what it is.
That'll be all right. That'll be all right. You guys sound good. Have fun. We will talk coming up next week before you guys tape that Brick in the Stick. Matt, good luck tonight. Enjoy it, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, fellas.
That's Matt Schneidman of the Matt Schneidman Show and The Athletic, who is going to sit down with Matt LaFleur coming up today. And we will be bringing you some of that coming up next week as they set the stage for the Packers season in 2024. Can't wait. A lot of stuff there, lot to react to, and then a lot of things that we can set the appointment listening to right there at the end with Matt Schneidman. It's 9 to noon on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And how do you say welcome when people come to your house? Well, you should be saying it with the new entry door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin because it's the first thing anybody sees when they come over, and you can make it memorable with Pella. You can also say it with color because the possibilities are endless thanks to Pella's custom colors. Pick nearly any color you can imagine. Also, say it with class. Pella's premium doors stand out due to their distinguished craftsmanship, and you will love every detail because you pick every detail. And finally, say it with a great deal. That's 0% interest for up to 3 years with no money down and equal payments. But you have to hurry. That offer ends at the end of the month. This month, August 31st, that is. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. And please, when you go in there, let Gina Della know that John Kuhn sent you. Visit PellaWI.com today.
414-799-1973 is the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. It's the way to get in touch with the program all day long. That's where SCN Steve has been trying to get at John Kuhn, our two-time Super Bowl champion. I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's right there. We're 9 to noon on the game. Fellas, Steve has been sending in a couple of messages in response to our conversation with Matt Schneidman, which was fantastic. You can go and check that out on the podcast once the show is over, and definitely be keeping your eyes peeled to the Game MKE on social media coming up, starting up on Tuesday, the Matt Schneidman show on Tuesday, as the debut of the Matt LaFleur podcast or show or interview is going to be released. And we are very, very excited for that situation. But SCN Steve had put in here a couple of different times. And John, when I asked Matt about Rich Bisaccia and saying, like, would his feet be held to the proverbial fire here soon? Is he somewhat in a warmer seat, on a warmer seat than some people would put? Steve said, believe the Bisaccia concern starts and ends with Carlson. Pro tip: how about you look at Ford, Nixon, Levitt, safeties, but we fire the defensive coordinator. Amazing. Look at how our safeties are now compared to the guys that we had with Joe Barry's defense. Go back to the 90s and go through the safeties, the correlation to winning and having a top 5 defense. Notice the difference. I'll hang up and listen. So I believe he believes our safeties are much better. However, he's speaking towards the Rich Bisaccia and said that they never had a tasker. Bisaccia demanded one, that being Dallin Levitt, and then Rudy Ford, and then Keyshawn Nixon. But for a position in the 53-man roster, they're all safeties. I'm trying to fully gather where he's going through, but he's talking about demanding,
I think he's
$2
trying
million and demanding players. It seems like Rich Bisaccia is getting a lot of what he wants.
I think he's trying to say that the Packers defense was bad so that the Packers special team could get better. I think that's his correlation.
Sure. Yes.
Right there. We're going to get special teams guys to come in here and play on. It's not how it went down. It's not entirely true. I can see how you make those links, but you do want guys that are safeties and the back end safeties, just like we have back end safeties this year, that are going to play special teams. They're going to play a major role in special teams. And listen, here's the deal. Rick Gosling does the special teams rankings, and that's what everybody uses as the holy Bible.
That's the holy grail, right?
That's what they use as their source of information here. But so much of that, it really gets rested on a couple plays here or there, right? You get a big kickoff return, you're now boosted. You get a big kickoff return against you, you are now booted to the bottom. Extra points, field goals, all those misses play a big part of it. And I don't know. To me, when I watch the Packers special teams, it's a hard thing to do to be good at special teams week in and week out because there's so many moving pieces. There are absolutely so many moving pieces. Call me crazy. This is the best I've felt about our special teams, and they've ranked 29th last year for Rick Gosling's list. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at rankings and determining things that way, then yeah, it's in a bad spot right now. But with this new year, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and like Pat DePere, you were absolutely one of them. He sends us the screenshot of his text last year. I said this to you guys twice last year. I wonder if Rich Bisaccia has brought value to the organization. Are we getting a good return on the investment? Like it is.
I'll speak of Rich as a coach. I think he's an absolutely phenomenal coach. But just like Belichick in Cleveland, sometimes things don't work.
Sure.
Right? I think he is one of the best coaches I've ever talked to as far as a mind and then a vigor to go out and intensely coach players. And I think he does it in such a way where it sinks in and guys get it and they understand. They understand the urgency that he puts on them to be better. So and that's the most important part of it, because he gets to coach these guys about 7 minutes at practice and for a 30-minute meeting. And he has almost everybody on the team.
Yep.
To really be able to dive in and influence and push a player is hard with that limited amount of time.
Yeah, that limited amount of time, John, that volume of players. And when it's not, you can speak better to this, when it's not your number one goal, right? Like it might be your number one job to be on special teams, but not a whole lot of guys say, I do want to be Matthew Slater, right? You dream about being Jamar Chase. You dream about being Brian Urlacher. You start dreaming about being one of these starters on an offense or defensive side. And when instead this is where you're at, you do have to be able to connect with those guys. And it does appear that Rich, better than some and better than others, like he does have a personal relationship. And I think this athlete in 2024, he might be even better suited as an older guy. His style suits this type of coaching and these athletes maybe even better.
And let's be honest. I mean, as we're really looking at overall performance on special teams, Keyshawn Nixon ran a couple kicks back 2 years ago, right? Big time kicks for us. Really had a late season surge because of special teams push. Well, what did he do at the beginning of last year? And this is Keyshawn Nixon. This is our big time guy. He started bringing him out from 8-9 yards deep in the end zone,
right,
and they were getting tackled inside the 20.
Right.
So we were taking a shot with a guy who the shot was a shot in the arm and made us better. And then a few times it didn't work. The philosophy that way. And then you saw the handcuffs go on him and he wasn't bringing it out anymore. So adjustments get made as the season goes along. And I'm fascinated because I do think this roster is made up of some young guys that should really be able to perform now on special teams.
414-799-1973. You can interact with the program there. You can also hit us up on Twitter. Kids are calling it X these days. That's
X,
the game
Twitter.
MKE, and that's where you can stream us.
Mike
YouTube as well. What'd you say?
Mike calls it X a lot too, not just the kids.
Which is impressive.
That's his thing. Yeah. Like, I feel like he definitely has never wavered from that, right? He doesn't sometimes call Twitter or sometimes he was like,
you know what?
Expo.
Small business owner, though. I think he's saying, you know what, Elon, I see what you're trying to do. I'll go in with the rebrand. Appreciate that out of Mike Heller. Good guy. I'm excited to see Mike Heller coming up tonight at Camp Randall Stadium. He'll start up our network coverage as the Badgers take on the Broncos of Western Michigan. Popeye Williams on the other side. You guys watch out for him. Outside linebacker transfer from Louisville for the Broncos. You might be able to see that name flare up, but hopefully Ches Malusi's just running away from him all night long. Tyler Van Dyke and the boys going crazy offensively, score a bunch of points, have a bunch of fun, and then let's have a bunch of fun on the postgame show tonight after the Badgers beat the snot out of the Broncos. And you hear that game right here on your home for Wisconsin Badgers football, 97.3 The Game. It's 9 to noon statewide on the game. Armin Sarian has one thing, John Kuhn, that Armin Sarian loves to do is throw people on a watch list.
Oh, certainly. If it's deserved.
When you get on that watch list, it's like an NWO for the wrestling fans. You're on it for life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of Armin Sarian's first inaugural watch list members got a flare up yesterday, and we're excited to talk about it before Kuhn's Can't Miss comes up in about 30 minutes from right now. It's 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Brewers fire up a doubleheader in Cincinnati today. Rain out being made up here. That's starting up in about an hour from right now. 11:40 first pitch for the Crew against the Reds. It'll be Colin Ray against Nick Martinez in game 1. Game 2 going to feature DL Hall starting for the Brewers once again.
How about that?
We like that. We like that. Good for DL Hall. If you have somebody who has gone through more adversity in a season than DL Hall, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the case study of a guy that's had to go through the ringer even more than he has with injuries seemingly every time that he's been right at the cusp of coming back, then was able to come back for one appearance. Coming back for an appearance. How about Aaron Ashby?
That was a blast from like, oh yeah, don't forget about Aaron Ashby. He still was there.
Tim Allen brings him up every single
exists.
time him and I talk Brewers, and I'm like, let's just make sure Aaron Ashby doesn't face Freddie Freeman in the playoffs in a decisive game.
Yeah, that would be good. But the Brewers invested money in Ashby. They're not going to give up on him. They're going to keep
They're
trying.
not. No.
And
if you get what you got in the last 2 outings that he's been up,
Sure.
Okay, a little different.
Yep.
I like that.
I'll take that. Yep.
That'll work. So very, very interesting there. However, we're talking about Brewers pitchers. One that they let go. John Coons right there. That's Armin Sarian. John, Armin has this watch list that we've been big fans of witnessing, and you've been able to see grow since its inception about 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's got post people on there. It's got, sewer people on there.
It's
got,
not
any kind of delivery
it's got
driver.
Lumberjacks on there.
A good one there.
And
yeah.
it means
Farmers.
Not
They're all on his
Did
watch
I didn't ever put a farmer on there.
list.
I
could've sworn you did.
I could have swore you did it just this week when we were talking about sweating corn, but no, we'll
well,
side
Iowa
by
maybe.
side.
Yeah. not
But I don't
Wisconsin.
know that anybody has gotten their mail delivered longer, has taken up residence on the watch list for a longer period of time, and with more ferocity than one Corbin Burns has been.
He basically started the watch list. I mean, Corbin Burns was basically the watch list existed. He
was the
league.
inaugural member of the watch list.
He was the Packers of that league. I mean, he was the inaugural member. He was the one that kept it going. Yeah, no doubt about it. I always said Corbin Burns too, guys. The player that I've most felt salty about that was the best player on one of my teams. There's no doubt Corbin Burns was a great contributor of my team winning mostly over the years. I mean, Corbin Burns is a great pitcher for
Had to
many
throw the
years.
mostly in.
He was a Cy Young Award, all these things. So I've never felt saltier about a guy that played so well. The Gary Sheffields of the world weren't good in Milwaukee, right? So that's
good baseball players, just not here.
Not in Milwaukee. So Corbin Burns was that guy, and I know it was a touchy subject for a long time, but Corbin Burns always a guy that I started to feel, and that's why I put him on the watch list. I felt you couldn't count on to be a consistent performer. And so because of the way he felt about himself, right? Remember when he thought he was going to get traded, he wasn't pitching as well. Playoff times, he just unfortunately didn't come through the way we thought he might be able to as a great pitcher.
So you put him on the watch list.
Remember,
because
he
was
sat in there forever.
It put him on the watch list when he started complaining about the Brewers organization when he didn't get the extra $700,000. And a lot of fans were on his side saying, give him the money. Why are you making Corbin mad? He's gonna, leave us.
Giving him the money.
Could have done it. Guess what? He could have just settled. So that logic goes both ways. 10 other players settled arbitration. He was the only one to go to arbitration. He wanted to go.
So they liked the Brewers more.
He wanted to go right to a reporter.
They like the Brewers more.
He was
Makes sense. Okay.
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
Appreciated the fans and the opportunity they gave him more.
I've never
right
understood
to a
why
reporter
Corbin
and
Burns
complain.
was on your watch list.
Well, he by the way, he lost that arbitration filing. The Brewers were right. So this was a guy that was always frustrating me in that regard. And I felt like, unfortunately, it wasn't just the way he acted. It was his performance reflected it. When things weren't going well with the organization, he wasn't pitching
But what
as well.
me and Billy are trying to get at, Corbin Burns on your watch list, where does
I'm still
he
trying
rank?
to say
it
why
feels
we're bringing it up.
I didn't feel
Because
like
it feels
he was,
like he ranks number one on your watch list over the likes of, and I don't even know, was Zadarius Smith ever on your watch list?
Yeah, Zadarius was on the watch list before there was a watch list. I don't think I officially had a watch list yet. Zadarius was on
So
that watch
it
list.
was the inaugural member of the watch
Right.
list was
I put
Corbin Burns.
I put Bakhtiari on there for a while when he started complaining about our social media
What
department.
about Campbell?
Yeah.
Did you put Campbell on there?
Devondre? Yeah, for a short time. But
and his family.
well, no. Oh, about the tweet about
Yeah.
vacation. The thing is, those guys, Burns had the biggest impact because we counted on him to be a great player for the Brewers.
So it sounds like no, John. It sounds like
No,
it sounds like population 1, number 39, Corbin Burns. Why we bring this up and why it's prevalent to the conversation, Jason Lockenfora, sports talk host in the Baltimore area, also for MASN and the Washington Post, put this out yesterday, John, as Corbin Burns in his last 4 starts. Let me just run through this really quick. 5 innings, 5 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 8 runs,
Ooh,
5 2/3, 6 runs, 5 innings, 6 runs, but only 1 earned.
And he's had those stretches.
But only 1 earned.
As great of a player as he is, he's had those stretches. Sorry, Billy. Sorry.
Can I read it?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Jason Lockenfora says,
sorry.
Burns has been pitching for over a month like a guy whose head is in the free agent market and not this pennant race. Getting pounded hard, no pause. Meatball after meatball, and even his cutter is garbage. Risky run with a 1-year mercenary with no ties to your ball club. Good riddance.
And I just felt like that was a sentiment that I could feel and understand. The excitement over Corbin Burns when he is right is high. Orioles fans felt it. This is the guy to get us over the top.
They were fired up.
He was neck and neck with Skubal for a Cy Young. Now he's plus 1,400, by the way, to win it. His performance has dropped off when they need it the most. And you don't know what you're going to get with Corbin Burns because of what's upstairs sometimes. And that's the way it just felt with Corbin. And I think, Lockenfora, who's, no slouch. I mean, he's a voice in that area for sports, is starting to feel the same thing. And there's no doubt about it. He's not pitching as well as he had been earlier in the year. His numbers have been dropping a little bit. So can Corbin Burns get right? Have a potential to be the best pitcher in baseball? He always has that potential. But when seems to be unhappy or worried about his contract, let's be honest. I'm sure he's feeling pretty satisfied knowing I've done enough this year to get that big deal that I've always wanted, and I'm going to finally get it. It just seems a little ironic to me. And as I watch DL Hall try and make it happen tonight, a young pitcher that we got in that trade, as I watch Joey Ortiz have a great rookie year, I'm sitting back pretty relaxed where we're at with the decision we made on Corbin Burns. So I guess I was like, interesting. Funny you say that,
Good way to pat yourself on the back.
Thank you.
Spraying your shoulder on that
I'm
one?
patting the Brewers on the back. It has nothing to do with me. I'm patting the Brewers on the back that made the best decision.
Well,
and for everybody out there that was whining and crying and complaining because we didn't give him an extra $700,000 that he didn't win an arbitration just because he wanted it and he had to run and complain about it, Corbin Burns, I wish you ran and complained when we had a 3-0 lead given to you in the first game of the playoffs last year and you couldn't get anybody out. So we'll see if he can do it this year.
David and Mequon, Armin is wrong. Brewers screwed that up. Would have been World Series favorites if they had him.
Why weren't we World Series favorites when we had him last year?
That's you weren't as good as you are this year, right?
Okay, well, part of the reason is Joey Ortiz. So we had the situation we wanted. If he was that guy, it would have happened.
9-2-0. That's not all true though.
Okay.
Blame Burns for the reason they blame Burns for the reason the team lost. That was the same year they got rid of Hader. Burns was not the GM at all. The fault was there. They lost the clubhouse after the Hader trade and then blame Burns. Do report the truth.
Well, last year, Hader wasn't a Brewer. I'm talking about last year. Burns was on that team last year, right? What am I missing?
You keep bringing up the arbitration case.
Yes.
And the reason why he was salty in the arbitration case is because they stated that one of the biggest reasons why they fell off and didn't make the playoffs was because his performance was not good enough.
Okay,
that he was the reason that they didn't make the playoffs. And that was the sticking point. So he had an excuse to be unhappy and he didn't pitch as well. Is that what it is? I mean, I understand he was not happy about it. I understand he had something to complain about, and he did. And his performance seems to suffer in those situations. I love this. This is split like right down the middle.
It's 100% down the middle. It's
right
100%
down the middle.
50-50 down the middle.
Tristan and Wausau. That's why I love you, Armin. Ultimate fan. That's dumb. Armin's right though.
Well, I'll say this. However you feel about how I felt,
you wouldn't want 12-4 in a 3.2 ERA.
All this is
12-7. Check his numbers.
All this is Armin and Packer fans do this a lot, validating when their players go other places and don't do well.
I was frustrated with him before he left, though. I do, but I'd want the Brewers to be good. That's my main motivation.
Yeah, but you're bringing up.
If he proved me
you're
wrong,
bringing up
John,
Paul,
I'd
but
be
you're
happy.
bringing up Hall and Ortiz. You're bringing up Hall and Ortiz.
Ortiz has been good,
and saying you're happy. Even if Hall and Ortiz were having the years that they're having, even if they were having the exact year that they're having, if Burns was doing Cy Young good, you'd be like, damn.
But he
didn't
will
do well there.
Yeah, but he was for a while, and we weren't going to sign him anyway, so that's a totally different discussion. So he would have been a lame duck. We're not going to re-sign him for that number he's going to get.
That's kind of defeatist. I'm just kidding. Oh man, he was about to lose his stuff over here on that one. 414-799-1973. We got to take a timeout. We're way late for a break. Let me do my job. And let me do my job over here. All right. We're taking a timeout. Hour 3 is the best one yet. We don't want it to delay any longer. Because coming up next, we got a Coons Can't Miss. You do not want to be away for a Labor Day winner. It's 9 to noon on the Game. 9 to noon on the game. Thanks for hanging out with all of us throughout the day and hanging out on the game tonight for the game. Badgers and Western Michigan, Big Ten versus the MAC. Last night it was Colorado versus North Dakota State University, and the Bison showed up against the Buffs. Now, a 5-point victory for Colorado. John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian with you for hour 3. We're going to have a Coons Can't Miss coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. That was Can't Miss last night, John. The game was awesome. The football was spectacular. We get more football throughout the day here tonight. Also a full day tomorrow. And in response to it, the 262 had sent us a text message on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line that said, don't you think it's nonsense for these big college teams to play these scrubs by competition? There's no other sports with such varying levels against each other. MLB doesn't play the minor leagues. NFL doesn't play CFL. NBA doesn't play a G League. In fighting sports, there are weight classes for a reason. These 2 initial games should only count on bowl records if it's a loss. These games are a sham of entertainment. Badgers should be ashamed. Now, 262. There's just a lot there. First off, the financials of college football, they need it, right? Like this is a necessity for not only Wisconsin to be able to get a massive gate for a home game, but also for Western Michigan, John, to finance a large portion of their season in how these sports go. And while Colorado played last night, yes, an FCS school, a championship program from that side, North Dakota State wants to win the game. They're very, very happy with the check that they grab on the way on out. This has always happened, and there's going to be less of them, but these bye games are almost a necessity in college sports.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, you have these 3 non-conference games that you schedule, and 2 of them are going to be cupcakes, and then 1 of them is going to be a big time game, because you still need to
100%
create a resume. But if you have a big time game, you're not always getting home games. A lot of times they're a home. So you got to split with them. So you lose the gate there. And the smaller schools want to come in. They want to collect that money, like you said. Will it ever change? I doubt it ever changes now, with the fact that this is kind of just the way that things are done. I don't think it's BS when you use the comps, because you're talking about different leagues playing one another, or a league playing then minor league. This is all still college football. We've seen upsets happen. We've seen these things end in disaster for some of these big time programs. So I don't think that's Bush League. If I said anything about college football, I just want to know why now you see touchdown dances now in college. When did that
was
happening?
Different. Yeah, I thought Hunter was going to get one last night.
The spinning of the football and then a touchdown dance. Okay.
Like a 2-parter too.
I've even seen kids semi-spike the football. Are we getting into college football is now the NFL, and you're allowed to do these big time celebrations? We see, the turnover chain on the sidelines and all the other, gimmicks that they have. This is really changed.
Yeah, they've definitely laxed the ability to do the in end zone celebration, because you're right, John. Otherwise, you'd have to run to the sidelines, hit a big. I think it was a big drum the Badgers had last year. Everybody's got something. Some people have a basketball hoop that you go and dunk on somebody. You have to have some kind of celebration, but they have gotten a little bit more aggressive. Travis Hunter literally hit 3 last night on that 3rd touchdown. He spun the ball on my man's foot that he caught the ball over, and then did the duck walk dance, and one of which I gotta think is a Fortnite dance.
You know what the dance is? I don't know what any of these dances.
I gotta assume it's a Fortnite or TikTok kind of dance.
I
Is
thought
that
it
still
was
a
probably
deal?
some sort of video game or TikTok, something that the youths know about more than me.
Youths.
The youths, I don't know.
I like that you
about.
threw an F on that.
Well, I tried not
Youths.
to. I try to say youths. Youths actually watch everything. I try to say it correct, but my point is, I'm assuming it's something I don't know about.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
Well, and that's generally how it goes. And then last night, I mean, you do talk about it, John. We've seen the upsets. You watched Western Carolina. Now, if anybody was on the ACC network and the sickos that were tapping around like myself, and YouTube multi-view was working last night. It was getting a good workout last night on the YouTube TV. But North North Carolina State, a ranked top 25 FBS team, was losing in the fourth quarter to an FCS Western Carolina. So, like, in the midst there, yeah, you could end up with a really, really good game. Absolutely can take it lightly. But then you can also hopefully have the situation like we're hoping it is for the Badgers here tonight, where later stages of the fourth quarter, some of the guys that are going to be scout team players, some guys that are potentially going to be redshirt guys, can get a little bit of a game action, a little bit of a feel what it's like to be on the field at Camp Randall Stadium with fans in the stands who will be fired up, excited in this kind of energy.
Yeah, the big time programs, they want this because they want their home game, they want to fill the stadium, and they want that victory on their resume.
Yeah.
The small schools, we talked about the money, but also the players want this. They want to be in the livest environment that they could possibly be in. I mean, I can remember walking into the Steelers stadium for my first preseason game and just looking up and nearly falling over because I kept looking up to see the top of the stadium. I'd never seen a stadium like that from the field. It was amazing to me. And these kids, you know, from a Western Michigan or something like that, to walk into a Camp Randall or some of these other, you know, down there in Tuscaloosa, it is an experience that they will never forget. They want to play in these football games. It makes them feel like they are, you know, in the bright lights, which they are. So it's a tremendous experience for everybody.
And let's be honest, it's the only way the economic model will work to get all these kids opportunities at the D1 level. So, you know, the small schools need this to pay their bills. They need these buy games to pay their bills, and the larger schools need the gate to pay their bills, or else they. So that's why this works. I mean, it's kind of the market exchange at work.
Yeah, and it happens in college sports across, right? Like college basketball does the same
thing.
A
lot in basketball. Only reason it wouldn't work is if fans stop going to these games. But I don't see that happening because college fans go for the game day experience.
Armin, so a lot of people ask, and this is probably part of the question too that he's posing here, is a lot of people ask, well, why don't we ever see Wisconsin go to Western Michigan? First of all, I think that's an absolutely awesome idea. Like, I would love to see something like that.
Yeah.
But they don't do it because they can't fit as many people at the stadium.
Very rare to do
They
that.
can't
get that gate.
And they can't charge the price that they charge at Camp Randall. So that's why they won't do it. But boy, could you imagine could you imagine Colorado going to
the Fargo Dome?
That would be awesome.
That would have been an electric factory.
The kind of an exception would be, I think North Carolina basketball would do a homecoming game for every recruit if they stayed 4 years. I believe this was the case for a while, where if you stayed 4 years, you were guaranteed to play a game somewhere near your home. And then you'd see North Carolina go to like some small schools on the road. You know,
when was this?
Was this Dean Smith era?
Well, Dean, and then the tradition went through Roy Williams for a while. I could be wrong.
Wow. Okay.
But you saw North Carolina play some road games at some unusual places. But the money has to be worked out some way, because the small school knows they're getting a bamboozle of a thing.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine being a school like, hey, you need to stay 4 years because we're going to get a game if you do.
Yeah, you can't leave, dude. You cannot be leaving here. I don't care if you are going to be the 5th pick in the draft. You're sticking around for that senior year so we can sell those 1,200 tickets.
Yeah, and a lot of times the game, if it was close enough to the kid's hometown with a major school anyway, it wouldn't apply.
How often do these kids play that stay 4 years?
It's a very good question. Yeah.
It wouldn't happen a lot, but there's I'll look it up. They played some random road games. Yeah.
I just think about it like in this weekend too. You're going to see South Dakota State, who is a championship. They just won back-to-back titles at the FCS level. They're going to go and play a ranked Oklahoma State team, who, again, Big 12 team. They have aspirations of winning their conference. It could be a very good game, because as much as these guys are, John, they've played championship games. That moment that those kids from North Dakota State had last night, that's going to be that's going to be a bucket list moment. Like, that is one of the greatest moments of their college football life. And without that, you take it away. I hate that thought of it. It's part of the model of it. And I would not, as much as I want to see great games, I want to see the best teams playing as many as possible. I don't like when the SEC throws this College of Charleston non-conference game in the middle of November, but in the beginning of the year, I think they're exactly right. I think they're needed at that point.
You know, Billy, you do bring up a great point about those kids from North Dakota State, and they play a decent amount of games on television, North Dakota State, that is, but not as many as Colorado will on big time TV. So, and a lot of schools are less, even though North Dakota State is FCS, right? they get more games than some of these FBS smaller conference teams get on television. So those teams even going in and playing an Alabama, a Georgia, an Oregon, an Ohio State, that's fun for them to be able to tell their family and everybody that's home, hey, you're going to get to watch me on your television this week.
Yeah, you don't even have to fly anywhere. You can just watch me right there. Nooner on Nooner crime is one of my favorite things on the Nicolay.com talking sex line.
Here we go.
Dan from West Bend. Man, Ken in the Falls never had a problem playing in big stadiums.
No, he never
He
did.
walked out there and said, I was born for this.
He was the stadium, you know. He was the attraction because he was a traveling show, you know.
The main attraction. It's beautiful. It is a fantastic one. Pat and DePere. Armin is correct on the UNC thing.
What?
You've been doing some investigative reporting
What'd
over
you
here.
find out?
I was hearing the keyboard just hammering away.
I'm trying to think of specific examples. The one I found was in '88. They played at Towson State, which is a small school in the Baltimore area, right,
Sure.
John? Because one of the players is from Pennsylvania or nearby Pennsylvania.
Well, that's right outside of Baltimore.
Yeah. So they've done this.
So wait, so you're telling me they went to play Towson State because the kid was from Pennsylvania?
He was from. Let me see.
That was what the statement was.
Yeah, but I don't know the geography of Pennsylvania.
Hershey.
He's from Hershey now.
Hershey.
So Hershey is a
Hold on.
solid 2 hours from Towson.
Well, that's not it. Oh, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Jeff Lebo. Towson State. No, they played Towson State in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. So that's what they did.
Well, that's a different Towson. The Towson I'm thinking of is in Baltimore.
Yeah,
There's Towson State in Hershey.
So they played a neutral site game
Must be.
in Hershey,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania to get that kid's family there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I thought that maybe it's a sign the times have changed, but I thought they kept doing it for a while. I remember fairly recently there was a yes. Okay. So Harrison Barnes, they played at Northern Iowa in 2010 for Harrison Barnes.
Oh,
'Cause he
there
was
we
from
go.
Ames, I think. I believe that's the case. I want to make sure I'm right on this. Or
I think you're figuring it out, though, pretty good.
You're actually
Yeah, I think you got it.
I gotta
you're finding-
find the
yeah,
I gotta
I
find
think you got it.
examples.
You're
I'm gonna-
finding ways of making history prove your point. That's what you're getting at here.
Which is a
fitting it in?
dangerous thing to do live on the radio. Like it's a tough balancing act to be able to thread that needle. However, if anybody can do it, I got pretty solid confidence in our guy.
No, I know it was a thing. I don't know when it stopped or how long officially it lasted, but
Well,
I know
they
it
should
was a
never
thing.
have stopped doing it.
Yeah.
It was a great idea, and it was a much, much better plan of attack. All right, we have a plan of attack for you this holiday weekend to have extra money in your pocket. We're going to execute that plan right now.
All right, here we go. Potawatomi Sportsbook and Casino. You make your way down there, check them out. Their sportsbook's the biggest sportsbook outside of Vegas. Don't take my word for it. Go down and see it because you'll be amazed by a 2,000 square foot LED curved screen that watches. Let's count them out here. How many games are there tonight in college? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wisconsin. You'll watch Wisconsin. You can't pick Wisconsin because they're in state, but you will watch a Wisconsin game along with all the rest of them on that one screen and be able to see it in style while you sit on a leather lounge chair, maybe the couch, maybe you're sitting at the high top tables enjoying a craft cocktail from their incredible menu that they have down there as well. So Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook is the place to be. And we literally can't miss, Armin. Again, last night, North Dakota State plus 10.5, almost won the game outright, finished with a Hail Mary on the 4-yard line. That one is a win. That is now 5 in a row, 4 straight weeks. We are absolutely on fire, and we cannot miss. And I'm looking for USC LSU. Where is the line? Where is the line? Help me.
Coming up on Sunday. Oh, that's going to be a gorgeous one. One of my buddies is actually flying from New Orleans, John, for that game.
Wow.
Out
really?
to Las Vegas.
That's
for that
awesome.
Game. Yeah.
It's a 5-point spread, and I'm taking LSU. I'm taking the favorite -5 in this one. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to absolutely. Why'd you roll your eyes, Billy? You got USC?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm honestly surprised that it's 5.
I know. I
I
like this.
thought it would've been tighter.
LSU -5 versus USC on Sunday.
So you guys
We'll
are
know
saying
on Tuesday. We'll know on Tuesday. Did we go a full week, 5 in a row, Armin? We have 5 in a row.
that would be nice.
But to do all 5 in 1 week would be even more special.
So
So
you
we're
guys
going
are
for
saying-
6 in a row here today.
You guys are saying they're going to cover that 5.
Oh, yes. LSU -5.
Interesting.
Oh, you like the Trojans? You Miller
No.
Moss go crazy.
No, I like a winner, and if you guys are that confident about them covering, maybe I'm confident.
I don't
too.
know. I thought it was gonna be like a 2 or a 3 number. That's a lot of wood. That's a very, very exciting
you think
number to
it's-
watch. That's gonna be a fun game, dude.
Oh, you think it's a little more solid wood than? Well, you never know about the tree until you cut it open. You know what I mean? So that could be.
That
All
is
right, LSU
how I
minus
would
5.
say it. Yeah, no doubt about it. 414-799-1973.
I found a game where
does he come up with some of this stuff?
I found a game where UNC played at UC Santa Barbara. There's got to be a reason.
Did
for that.
Saban do the game?
No, this is in 08. This was in 2008.
They didn't fly him back for it? I mean, the way he talks about it, he's the most distinguished member of their alumni base. I don't know why they wouldn't have him come back and call the game.
I think he should do it. I think it should be like Steve Zabin night.
Steve Zabin night.
Yeah.
Give out a bobblehead. He called games there. I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
Oh, my gosh. I would love a Zabin bobblehead. That'd be hilarious. See what that thing looks like.
I think there'd be a lot of people that'd be a big fan of that. There'd be a lot of them that would get smashed, but there'd be a lot of people that would be a big fan of having that bobblehead. They'd hope more it would be John, probably like a voodoo doll, though, in the middle of like his 7:00 segment.
Steve Saban voodoo doll. Yes,
that'd be more fun.
Amazing.
We could listen.
I don't
have
he
much
says
pull in
stuff.
here.
He
We might
says
be able
stuff
to find it.
sometimes that makes you feel like someone's pulling the strings on a voodoo doll.
Yes, very much so. Right? You're like, there's no way that this is a pre-recorded voice into this spot. 414-799-1973. You have no clue where it's going. Badgers are starting up here tonight against the Western Michigan Broncos. Starting up his career in broadcasting 1 week from Sunday will be Tom Brady. We did not get into this yesterday, fellas. NFL might be making it really difficult on the greatest of all time to execute his new toil. And John Kuhn can give us some unique perspective into what they might be asking the GOAT to do. We'll get into it coming up. It's 9 to noon statewide on the Game. 9 to noon, game day, football Friday, Badgers and Broncos of Western Michigan tonight. Kickoff on 97.3 The Game and WIBA AM and FM in the Madison area. That coverage, the statewide coverage, the network coverage will start at 6 with our guy Mike Heller on the network pregame. Matt and Tausch will have the kickoff at 8. Myself and Lance Allen have the postgame show for you right here. Game on 97.3 in the Milwaukee area, in Madison, 1310 AM, also 101.5 FM WIBA. Game is on Peacock tonight, is what I was told. Now, I thought it was FS1. So that was right from Red Hot Tim Scott's email.
There you go.
And Red Hot Tim Scott can't be wrong on that, correct?
Never.
That's the email.
Yeah,
It's
he's
the
working on
email. Game's on FS1.
Oh, it is on FS1.
Game's
tonight.
on FS1 tonight.
All right. Well,
Game is on FS1 tonight.
Oh.
Sorry. Just
Shots
wanted
fired. Shots fired.
No, I just well, more importantly, I just want to make sure I wasn't throwing out any misinformation. Game on FS1 tonight. More importantly, it's on the game. Why would you even need to listen and need any of that coverage at all?
And you
it's
wanna
97.3 The Game is where you get the action here tonight. Now, interesting when you're talking about the different TV crews that would be doing the game, John Kuhn. I don't know. We did not get a chance to discuss this. And the more and more I'm reading the story that the NFL out of their owners meeting on Tuesday, the more and more fascinated I am about the back channel and the back process of it. So for you calling games, and I'm just calling the television copy for the preseason games, you'll have production meetings with the Packers coaching staff, assistant coaches, and all that. For regular season games, both teams will be available. Now, the NFL, through and after their meeting among league owners, did pass the opportunity for Tom Brady to put in the bid for minority stakeholders of up to 10% for private equity firms. Tom Brady's been trying to get this piece of the Las Vegas Raiders for a couple of years now. However, the NFL placed some restrictions on Brady if he is going to try and continue his pursuit of ownership stake in the Raiders. He is going to have a diminished role potentially pregame with Fox Sports as a broadcaster. Per league spokesperson, Brady is not permitted to attend in-person or online broadcast production meetings and may not have access to team facilities, players, or coaches. Fox staff is not subject to these limitations, so the rest of the crew can go. He also must abide by the league's constitution and bylaws that prohibit public criticism of officials in other clubs, but is allowed to broadcast Raiders games, a part of his 10-year, $375 million contract that was signed with Fox Sports over a year ago. You've called games. Like, there's one side of this where I'm like, hold on. He gets double the money of any other person calling games. He doesn't have to do any work for it. That sounds like a pretty great deal if I can also own a part of an NFL team. The other side of me is like, Tom Brady wants to work harder than anybody else, and this is taking completely away from that gig.
Well, this is one or the other. That's what the NFL is saying. One or the other. You can be 10% stakeholder or up to 10% stakeholder in a team, or you can call these games for $375 million over 10 years. It's one or the other. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I agree with the NFL. Could you imagine Tom Brady being able to go in and basically have espionage, right? He can see how other teams' inner workings are. He can report back. He could potentially tamper with players, buddy with them. Oh man, you should come to the Raiders when your contract's done. Things.
Yeah, for
nature.
sure.
I actually agree with this one, and not because I dislike Tom Brady, but just because I think there are a conflict of interest here. If you are a minority stakeholder in one team and you're going to be going in and having access to other teams.
Well, and when you're in these national broadcast number one game calls, there is supposed to be a handshake agreement of, we're actually going to tell you a couple of things, right? Like we'll actually tell you who we're trying to attack, what we think of our players, what we think of your guys' players, confirm what you're having. For him to not have any of that going into a game
seems crazy to me,
But also, could you see if anybody would try and do it, it would be Tom Brady?
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
and that's the thing too. I think this is a one or the other, but he is Tom Brady. I mean,
Mhm.
the networks could just bend over and say, okay, well, here you go, Tom. This is what you're doing. And go on there and make chicken salad, right? That's could be the case for him.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to believe that he's, his thing is I'm going to work as hard as possible to the best broadcast possible, that he's not going to be okay with not having information that other people could have and not having anecdotes from the production meeting and things like that. I don't know. It's just hard to believe. So we'll see how this turns out.
If I'd be the Kansas City Chiefs, and Tom is calling our game coming up against, say, the San Francisco 49ers in, I don't know, week 10. And then we're playing the Raiders in 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't want you knowing a single thing that I told Kevin Burkhardt. I know you're gonna.
Sure.
I know that you're gonna ultimately help him out because at some point Kevin Burkhardt's a good dude and he wants his broadcast to sound good. Like if I'm Fox, I'm probably the most upset out of this.
Got to be.
If you're Fox, you're more upset than Tom Brady.
Well,
Yes.
Well, Tom made that choice, didn't he?
Because I do think at some point Tom looks at it and says, "Damn, they got me."
Yeah.
Yeah, they got me. Okay. Like I do think there's a reservation to Tom where he's like, I was trying to have my cake and eat it too. But I think Fox is like, hey, buddy, this deal, we can rip this thing up real quickly if you're not going to be at these production meetings. Like if I'm Fox, this would actually be the time that I would play quasi hardball if I could, because dude, we're giving you twice as much as Tony Romo is making. And that was considered groundbreaking in broadcasting. You got to be here. You got to pick this one.
Even more than that, they have who I consider to be one of the best in the game right now, Greg Olson, who's done it for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? He had come in and worked his tail off and got to a really, really good spot. So why the heck wouldn't you say, all right, Tom, what's it going to be? I mean, if you when you say you think Fox is the one that's most mad about it, no, I think Fox is probably like, yeah, well, this makes sense.
No, yeah, and they're happy that it's coming to a head. I'm saying they'd be most upset if they were going to allow him to do both, right? Like, or if he would still say, okay, sweet, I'll do it. I'll do it without all the information. I'll do it with my knowledge base of the NFL.
Oh, I'm
being
sure
Tom Brady.
Still collect my 37 million.
I'm sure he's saying, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm sure he's probably fine with it, but the Fox isn't. They're not going to be okay with it.
They're paying him all right. What was it? 10 years, 375.
375.
That's more than the top of market for a starting pitcher, and it's just weird that they
It's
would pay
more
him so
money
much.
than he made playing football.
There's no possible way this is going to be worth the money for Fox. No possible way. Even if he's the best broadcaster of all time, are they going to get more revenue based on him being there? I can't see how. People are going to watch games anyway. I don't get it. I don't get the reason they're doing this. I don't get why they're paying him so much. I don't get who they were bidding against. I mean,
That is the other question. I don't know who else was in the bidding. ESPN had already thrown remarkable amounts of money at Aikman and Buck at that time, correct?
Yeah, but not even close to this number, right?
But they had
I
already
think so,
gotten
yes.
Aikman and Buck there,
I think
or
that the deal was done. Yeah.
okay, because they had already been doing Monday Night Football
Right.
when they signed that one. Yeah, they're not bidding against anybody. CBS is looking at this Tony Romo money and saying, how on earth do we get out of this? Like, is there any way that we can get out of this? Because
I mean, what words could he possibly say to make him worth $37 million a year?
Armin, could you imagine if Tom Brady said, that's a terrible throw, I would have thrown it here? Like, can you imagine?
oh yeah,
I think Tom Brady there's a chance he could be brilliant at this thing.
Even if he is, and he sounds good, and even if he has interesting insight, what makes it worth that much money? You get what I'm saying? Like, what are they going to recoup that money?
I don't know. Why is a quarterback worth $55 million?
Well, because they want to win. I mean, so the point is,
Fox wants to win too.
yeah, they do.
I guess so. It's just about the pride of having the best guy.
Well,
the
and-
best ratings. Is that it? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely it is. What do you think this is? Like you want to
that's
have the
bad
best
business.
ratings.
yeah, you want to make money off those ratings too, right? You have to have revenue to.
I'm sure they have
you
somebody
don't
that's
think
footing the bill.
Yeah, and you don't think that you're going to be able to sell better if all of a sudden Tom Brady walks into
I don't know.
the conversation?
That's right. That's where I struggle. I just have a hard time believing it's going to turn into that much more revenue. You know,
Armin, it's entertainment. It's a parade. Before the games, these guys walk on the field and people are staring at them. And there's as many cameras and henchmen walking around them as there are the head coach when he goes out to do the handshake after the game. I mean, this is big time here.
But do you think Mike sitting on his couch saying, I'm more likely to watch this game because of Brady? I don't see it.
Maybe.
I don't. Okay, maybe, but I don't. That's where I'm skeptical. I think that nobody is more likely to watch a game just because of Brady, other than I was going to already watch this game anyway, but now Brady's on it. I better stop what I'm doing just to watch this game.
So are you saying that sports broadcasters are irrelevant? Because that's kind of what it sounds like.
No, I'm saying they're not worth $37.5 million a year.
Okay, then give me a number. Give me a number.
I can't. I'll have to think about it and come up with a
number. You can't say something isn't worth it and then say
what's Greg Olsen getting paid? Do you anybody know? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
6 maybe.
Okay, maybe it's closer to that number, or maybe it's closer to 4 or 5 or 6.
I mean, I do struggle to see
lot more money. That's all I'm saying.
I just don't understand your infatuation with what he's getting paid. Why does that matter?
I'm just making a point.
Oh, you can't fathom why somebody's paying him that money.
I don't think it's worth it, and I don't know why they would do that. I'm not. It's not going to keep me
up.
To
have Tom Brady.
It's not going to keep me up at night.
Do you have investments in Fox?
No, maybe I should.
I'm so floored by this.
It's just weird to me. It's weird.
But
it's
on
weird.
one hand, you say Tom Brady's not going to make one single guy on his couch turn that game on.
If they do, it's not going to recoup the extra $30 million that he's making over Olsen.
If Tom Brady can't make one single if Tom Brady doing a broadcast isn't going to bring is there any broadcaster that somebody turns on a game for?
I truly don't really think so, John. I don't think there's broadcasters that are saying, you know what, now I am going to watch the NFL. Like if you are going to watch the NFL, you're watching the game, whether it's on CBS or Fox. As somebody that does make a lot of jokes at Tony Romo's expense, I don't miss many CBS games of the week.
You still watch
because I am still watching the game of the week.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's more to it than just the Sunday broadcast. Like listening to people in the Fox area, people in the Fox building. Armin's gonna laugh here. Aaron Andrews and Carissa Thompson had Kevin Burkhardt on their podcast. I listened to a little bit of it. They spoke about, John, all the different stuff in the Fox complex, in their megaplex. That Tom Brady is a very, very influential situation in the entire Fox broadcasting business. So, where I think they believe him joining Cowherd for 20 minutes on FS1 is going to be massive for him.
It's for
the whole company than just those 18 games I think that he's going to be calling.
Very, very much agree with that. Very much understood. I'm still just surprised that both of you think announcers don't matter.
No, I didn't say that. I think a good play-by-play announcer matters a lot more, though.
I don't think there's that much of a variance on the broadcast. Like the game is the game to me.
They matter.
Did you ever watch one of these D crews or E crews that roll around?
Oh, I've watched. John, are you asking if I've watched a Chris Myers game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have I watched a Dick Stockton game where they don't have a sideline guy?
And
absolutely.
Is it better with Tirico and Collinsworth?
It doesn't matter to me as long as the team that I'm betting on wins.
Mike is a better broadcaster, yes, but it doesn't it doesn't give me the return of investment that I think. That's my point. I don't know.
We're talking two similar but kind of different things here, right? Because you keep talking the money. And
right.
Billy just told you why the money is where it's at. It's an investment for the company more so than just the broadcast. But I am just shocked to hear that the broadcast team doesn't really matter to you guys.
I think maybe to us in broadcasting, we're more nerds about that part of it too. I don't know for an average viewer how much that makes a difference.
Yeah, if it would matter to anybody, it would probably matter to us more, I would assume.
Which makes sense, but I don't think my dad cares if Steve Levy or Burkhardt or anyone or even is aware of these guys. Like, I'm just using an example.
I regularly watch games. I regularly watch games with no sound on just because I got other things going on in the house. And I enjoy them just fine. So there is a point to your argument that I completely agree with.
Yeah.
But I love listening to what they have to say.
I might enjoy them too, and I might enjoy Brady. But if you were
it's not driving me to the television.
Is that 8 times the money? That's all I'm saying. It's just interesting.
Again,
awesome one
with you.
Oh, yeah. He's got a pocket watch, John. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing if we're not pocket watching over here on the producer's table?
In this case, I am. Because he was, selling T-shirts for $80.
Tyson from Zillow, Washington. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm excited to see Tom in the booth and listening to him and seeing him on the field winning.
I look
more
forward
so
to
than
it.
him on the field winning another Super Bowl. I am so fired up for the first time I get to hear Tom.
Yes.
I think it's going to be spectacular.
Sunday, 3:00, he'll be calling Cowboys and Browns for his debut in the NFL on Fox for the game of the week coming up in 9 days. 1 week away from Packers football kicking off on the game tonight. We are inside of 9 hours away from kickoff at Camp Randall with Badger football right here on the game. We'll hand it off to Mike Heller in about 20 minutes. He'll start up that network coverage coming up at 6. We'll round third, head for home right after this, 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon on a football Friday where we have baseball before the show ends. Brewers in a day-night doubleheader with the Cincinnati Reds. No longer a twilight doubleheader because Armin Sari and John asked us when they stopped doing that. Well, prior to me being born, I believe, was generally once that ended up being like a stopped thing through Major League Baseball. Did have these scheduled doubleheaders, the 7-inning doubleheaders during COVID to make up the games, which was fun. But this is friends and family day right now. It looks like for the Cincinnati crowd because there's like 87 people potentially at this game. They have headrests on the first like 5 or 6 rows. Armin, would you say, with a Lexus logo? John, they're getting more publicity here than any billboard would ever get them because there's nobody sitting in the front 5 rows.
Great day for Lexus of Cincinnati or whatever. I don't know.
I saw a picture, I think it was Colorado yesterday, where there was like 20 people in the entire stadium.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. Some of these double headers, they're interesting.
We had an individual ask us to give some credit to an Oakland Athletics fan who caught, I think, 3 foul balls in a game. It's really not that great of a feat when there's 400 people there.
I know.
Right?
I wanted to do that. I was like, yo, this is cool. Fan catches a bunch. I'm like, there's nobody else there. So I don't know that it's that significant.
He's got 3 sections to himself. Sure. It should be okay. He should be able to. But the Brewers are in the midst of a game right now. First inning, 1 on for your boy Spencer Steer, who just got a ball charged to our guy Colin Ray for a pitch clock violation. Colin Ray not happy about it.
Well, Colin Ray had to beat out.
Not happy about it.
Tried to beat out Ellie De La Cruz the first, which he did, but didn't catch the ball. So De La Cruz's speed, I guess, will throw you off.
Also, love any day where Jeff Orlowski rolls into the studio because one, pipe bombs in the building,
pipes in the house,
everybody's mood turns up, right?
Big night.
Even better when Jeff Orlowski comes in his Colin Ray jersey, because if anybody has one in the state of Wisconsin, we found him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. His name's Jeff Orlowski, and he walks around as the Polish pipe bomb in our city. He's the only guy.
Hey,
I have not seen one other 48 rolling around, even though he's been the Brewers' best starter.
It's a good jersey.
Can I show you guys something real quick?
Yeah.
Come on now. Let's do this. As the 41 JBJ t-shirt is revealed by John Kuhn. And Armin almost falls off the chair.
That was the worst signing.
Get me, Armin, this year at the year-end pro shop sale, you better get me some Colin Ray.
I will. I don't think they'll be available.
I was going to say they might have to re-sign him.
He's good this year. The problem with Jackie Bradley Jr. was he wasn't, and no one bought his shirt. All right. I think they thought he would be.
There might be a lot of Joey Weimer opportunities.
You just got to get there the first day, Armin. It's very important that you get there the first day.
Well, and speaking of the sales, I actually meant to bring this up yesterday, but the Milwaukee Bucks are doing their version coming up. Bucks Pro Shop at Fiserv Forum. Now, Bucks Pro Shop, bottom of the top 3.
It's not the same. It's just not as good.
Packers Pro Shop, way up here.
Yep.
Brewers Pro Shop, right there in the middle. Real nice job.
Real
nice job. Bucks Pro Shop, kind of lax.
It's hurting.
Yeah. When I was there,
minimal options for big guys.
Yeah. And when I'm there for a game and Wes Edens is like, hey man, you really got to try this Lululemon stuff. Oh wait. We got the owner of the team trying to push the Lululemon stuff. You can tell it's not selling very well. They will be firing their.
But you're right. The Pro Shop isn't as good. I just didn't want it to be.
You want a Bucks Lululemon shirt?
If someone gave it to me,
yeah,
I'd wear it.
Sure. Double X.
See, and that's my problem. Do they even have double X? I always thought that Lululemon was for a svelter style.
It might be a different sizing. You'd have to.
You could be svelte and big.
Yeah, well, right. However, your boy's not. So
Joe Thomas svelte.
Well, yeah, but now Joe is
a different
Joe is ripped up now. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying Joe Thomas.
Oh yeah, you can absolutely be.
Yeah.
But I mean, Joe Thomas, we're letting fight the aliens when they come. He's somebody that we're throwing Brock Lesnar, Joe Thomas, maybe Jalen Carter. And we'll see a little bit of Jalen Carter coming up next week when we really set the table for Packers and Eagles.
Let's remember that for next summer, right? When the dog days of summer
gets there.
What athletes do we want to push to the front line to fight the aliens?
I'm going to write that down here
we're
so we
keep
don't
that one
forget
for
that.
a year.
That is a 338-day tease because we'll do it sometime during the All-Star break of next year. That's John Kuhn. Illustrious work here today. Fellas, Be honest. That's the way to close on our first Football Friday. If we continue this pace on Football Fridays throughout the football season, we're not stopping till February.
Well, there's a reason we got to load manage you. There's a reason for that, so that you can come back and you can have fresh legs.
Yeah, and slow myself down a little bit, pace myself out of the gates. I gotta watch out for that. I gotta be cognizant of that off vocal maintenance. But we're gonna get better. We're gonna get better at it. And tonight, big one at Camp Randall. Enjoy it. Go and have yourself a beer at Camp Randall for the first time. And then if you're gonna have multiple, get an Uber. All right, get a ride home. Horrendously tragic situation in sports this morning to wake up to the passing of Johnny Gaudreau. Get an Uber, get a ride home. Way too many opportunities, way too many options in 2024 for this to continually be a way that fathers, brothers, sons, sisters, mothers are taken from us. Find a ride home. That's your Quick Trip take of the day, brought to you by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal you might even find. What we know is football, and football is back. And we're going to enjoy all of it throughout the Labor Day weekend. We will revisit and rejoin you guys coming up on Tuesday after a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Enjoy the hell out of it. All of you truck drivers, delivery men,
yes,
blue collar folks that Armin insults John on a daily basis. This is your holiday. You enjoy it coming up on Monday, because Armin Sarian can't take that away from you coming up on Monday. Enjoy Labor Day. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. It's been 9 to noon on The Game.